The maestro, they called him, the wizard of dribble, the ageless wonder. For more than 30 remarkable years, he tormented and embarrassed defences all over the world.
Trying to find Matthews on the right wing. He's done so. It's come down to Matthews unmarked there. The defence just waiting for Matthews to move forward with it. He's in a tussle now with Aston. Aston finally went down right on his back, and he's got Matthews tied up in a knot there. The ball as well. And finally, it's a free kick to Blackpool. Free kick to Blackpool just outside the Manchester United penalty area. The referee's racing across there to put it a yard or so back, and this is going to be taken by Matthews. Matthews puts it right across to Kelly. Kelly's going to shoot first time. It's gone through a crown. Fred's gone to Morton. It's a goal! Yes! Number 2!
The classic situation, Stanley Matthews fouled. He takes the free kick and somebody scores. How often did that happen? There it was his England colleague, Stanley Mortensen, putting Blackpool 2-1 up in the 1948 FA Cup final. But Manchester United, with a promising young manager called Matt Busby, scored 3 more to win one of the outstanding post-war cup finals. Many thought it was Matthews' last chance of a cup winner's medal. This slim, pinch-faced genius of a right-winger was then 33. No one guessed that he was less than halfway through his astonishing career. Matthews played his first league game in 1932 and won the first of his 54 England caps 2 years later at the age of 19. He retired in 1965, soon after his 50th birthday and a month after becoming the first footballer to be knighted. Mind you, he had his detractors. They said he was selfish, couldn't head the ball, and didn't score enough goals. But Billy Wright, his England captain for 11 consecutive seasons, had no doubts.
The one thing about him, playing against him as a full-back and seeing him from behind, is he had the ability, and people say it was funny, try to mesmerise the opposition. Now, you might say that's funny in football, but if you ever saw Stanley play, he got the ball between both feet, and he had balance, which made people look at him, and that's why he caught people off balance. And I've seen him make people fall down because they didn't know which way to go. And that's the one thing you had to worry about when Max, if he did get the outside, then he could do the things you were worried about. And that's his ability with control of the ball. And the art of Stan to be able to get away from a player the 5 yards, and he didn't need 5, you only need 1, and no player at any level, this country, all world, could catch Stanley Matthews once he got a yard away from you. And he had the close ability. So whether you got a cover or not, the ball would always be to his feet, and then if he was 1 yard away, he had that ability and control, which is very rare in this day or yesterday.
That same year, 1948, England played Italy, one of the best sides in the world.
Free kick to England, taken by Scott, just inside his own half. He lobs it forward. Out goes Lawton. Beaten in the air by Parola again. This time the ball only goes to Mannion. Now Mannion's going through at full speed. He's got all the forwards up there. Will he pass across to Mortensen? Mortensen racing into position there. Right across through to Finney. Bang, a goal! Beautiful goal by Finney there. A beautiful goal. Very clever feint by Mannion. Mannion feinted to put that ball through to Mortensen, instead of which he banged it right over the heads of the defenders, and Finney, running onto it, hit it first time from 5 yards and gave Bacigalupa no chance at all. So that is the 3rd goal for England, who led by 2 goals to nothing at half-time. Now, in the 25th minute of the second half, have increased their lead through Finney to number 3. Swift, a great long kick. Parola is chasing it, looking round over his shoulder, rather like Gordon Richards when he's about 3 lengths ahead in a 5-furlong sprint to see if anybody's near him. Parola, of course, looking for Lawton, and he turns the ball back to his own goalkeeper. Once again, it's Scott. Scott taking that goal kick with a neat slip and pass all in one movement up to Mortensen. Mortensen back through to Coburn. Coburn now, a long one, and Mortensen's away on his own. He's cutting away right out to the outside left position. He's absolutely a bundle of energy, this fella. And now he's whizzing the ball straight across the goal, through to Finney. Finney's on his own, he shoots, and it's a goal! Finney scored again. Beautiful move made by Mortensen, taken by Finney, who'd cut inside, and in the 28th minute of the second half, England have made it 4-0.
The 2 final goals described by Raymond Glendenning. The first 2 goals scored by Stan Mortensen and Tommy Lawton. And more than 40 years later, talking to me about some of the great players of his time, Sir Stanley recalled that game in Turin.
Joe Mercer was Joe had these bow-legged, and Joe was a great tackle and a great captain. And but he had these bow legs. It was easy to push the ball through his legs sometimes, you know.
Stan Cullis, of course, I mean, a man who was enormously respected.
Stan Cullis, he was a great captain, and he used to come out from the defence of the ball, and he used to push the ball and so on. He was great, but the one after that, in my opinion, was the Stoke City player, my old mate Neil Franklin. He was a brilliant player, and when we played Italy in 1948, Italy had a great team. They had, and they paralysed for the first 20 minutes, but Neil Franklin, Frank Swift, and all, they held out, and we managed to win 4-0.
England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland all entered the World Cup for the first time in 1950, but only England got as far as the finals in Brazil. And there they suffered perhaps their greatest embarrassment of all, defeat by 1-0 by the United States of America. Walter Winterbottom was the England team manager.
We went out in those days because it was new to us, travelling abroad and taking part in world competition. We were pioneers. And yes, we had something of a following in the fact that, being concerned with the development of the game from its early days, everybody expected England to play extremely well. The only other team that was going to feature in this competition was Brazil. It was a question of would Brazil or England win the World Cup. That was the expectation. Brazil is a very difficult place to get used to, or was to our players, because it was a hot climate, very, very hot in a time of year we were playing. We had temperatures of 104 degrees Fahrenheit for our first game. It gives you some idea. But also the place where we settled on Copacabana Beach with all the razzmatazz that goes on in Rio. We were put off a little by the conditions. In fact, we were learning how to go into World Cup competition. Brazil were the best team by far. They ought to have won, but the Uruguay match, and Uruguay had only played 2 matches to get to the final. This was a strange organisation, this competition. But they put up a wonderful fight in the final against Brazil, and the famous Chigueira goal was something out of this world. He ran the length of the field to score a single goal that put Brazil out. But Brazil had wonderful forwards. 3 inside forwards were picture players. Jair could float free kicks with this banana shape. The first time we'd ever come across it. Players were leaping up and kicking the ball overhead to score a goal, known as the Chaclala kick. We'd never seen this before. So there are lots of new things for England to take note of and come away and learn in going into future competitions. But, of course, I haven't mentioned it so far. We've got to remember that England were defeated by the United States. It wasn't a United States team as such. There were 5 players in the side who'd only been in America for 3 months, and they'd taken out nationalized papers, so they had some good Europeans playing in their side. But that was a game which was extraordinary in the extreme. I don't think I've ever had England play in a match where we've taken so many shots at goal and miss. Maurice Smith, who used to write for The People, said that we hit the woodwork 11 times. That can never happen again. But there we were, we lost by 1-0, and these things happen. It's a pity it happened in the World Cup.
The FA Cup final that year, 1950, was between Liverpool and Arsenal. Arsenal were led by that lovable star Joe Mercer, and they had players of the calibre of Reg Lewis, Wally Barnes, and the Compton brothers, Leslie and Dennis. Liverpool had men such as Billy Liddell, Bert Stubbins, and Willie Fagan.
Free kick to Liverpool, half inside their own half, taken by left back Spicer, right down the centre, and cleverly trapped by Mercer, despite the attentions of Fagan. Dribbled along the ground, he's held it a bit long, no, he's got it away finally out to Lewis. Lewis tricks his man, puts a nice cross past to Cox. Now this is dangerous if Cox can keep it in. He has done. He skids, but he's cutting right down now towards the Liverpool goal line. He squares across the goal. In it goes. Ahead of there by Lewis, and it's just over the bar. Out goes Sidler, and he rolls over on the ground with Lambert as they... Oh, and he did touch it. He did touch it at the corner. I thought that was a there thing. It is a corner. First corner to us. Taken by Dennis Compton. You'll remember in the semi-final, he put one onto Leslie Compton's head, but Leslie's not coming up this time. Here comes Dennis's centre. Oh, a beauty, right up in the centre there. Well headed away by Hughes, the centre half. Fine save by Hughes there. And he puts it out to Little. Little has now moved over to the right wing, and Payne has shifted over to the left. That's the first tactical change by Liverpool. But it's Barnes who stops that attack. Puts through to Logan. Looking through to Lewis. Lewis is shot.
Arsenal have scored.
Lewis got a second, and Arsenal won 2-0. And then it was the turn of the maestro again. Stanley Matthews was back at Wembley in 1951, and Blackpool's opponents this time were Newcastle United.
Now the goal kick's been taken up to the head of Robledo in the centre circle, nodded down by Johnson for Blackpool. Not very far though. Crowe gets it back to Taylor, Taylor to Robledo. Now Newcastle swinging into the attack on the right wing, and I don't think Walker's going to get it. No, way over his head and into touch. Halfway inside the Blackpool half, this side of the field. Garrett's going to take the throw in him. The left full back throws it down to Slater. Slater trying to breast the ball down, but it's been taken from him. And Harvey now, with just a flick through to his outside right. His pass has gone astray though, and Garrett left-footed now, trying to get it upfield into Newcastle half so that the Blackpool forwards can have a go at it. Got it out that time by Moody to Perry, but he fails to bring it under control, tries to put it straight back, loses the ball, and Walker's got past Garrett, and he's still got past Hayward, cutting inside now for Newcastle, slips it along the ground to Taylor, and he backheels it to Milburn who shoots, and it's a goal, a terrific goal by Milburn. So that's 10 minutes of the second half gone, and Newcastle now 2 goals up. A terrific shot there from just outside the penalty area by Milburn.
Jackie Milburn wore Jackie, the idol of Tyneside, with his and Newcastle's second. Final score, 2-0. And once again, Stanley Matthews was a runner-up. A few days later, England faced Argentina at Wembley. Their first meeting, though certainly not their last, at full international level.
Mortensen to Finney. Back through now to Hassel. Hassel past one man. No, he's lost the ball there. And it's right to the rescue. No, it's come through now. A bad pass by the Argentinian. Right through to Mortensen. Mortensen to Milburn. Milburn's dodging around there. And the Argentine attacking their defence. Now here comes the ball across now. And this is just pushed round the post again off Hassel. And this time Mr. Ruggiero has collapsed again in a heap. Really, it's rather overdoing the spectacular. It was quite a simple header by Hassel. Ruggiero made an enormous leap and landed flat on his back. However, that is the way they play, and I suppose I can't blame them. But the crowd here are taking a little poor view of the spectacular antics. Now here's Finney's corner. A header by Mortensen. It's there! It's a goal! Mortensen scored! Mortensen scored! And that's 1-0! And now Mr. Ruggiero is literally tearing his hair on the goal line.
England won 2-1, Milburn with the second goal. And Milburn's Newcastle, the outstanding cup side of the time, won the trophy again in 1952, the first club to win it in 2 successive seasons in the 20th century.
The ball goes loose, it comes to the Roper. Roper away downfield, a long one, and Brennan heads it sideways, very neatly indeed to Joe Harvey. Joe Harvey up now to Fowkes, who's on the Newcastle right wing, through to Milburn. Milburn, this looks really dangerous, but no, Daniel stepped over the ball, but he's only flicked it as far as Ted Robledo. And now he's coming through and he fires down to Mitchell. Mitchell on the left wing for Newcastle United. Coming down towards the Arsenal penalty area. He's beaten his man. Mitchell's coming in. He's beaten another man. He's going to shoot. No, he isn't. He's holding it. He's fired again. He's too late. My goodness, he's too late. Oh dear, what a chance there was for Newcastle there. Beat 3 men and didn't fire it in. Well, that was a chance for Newcastle there. Another ball is shot away upfield there by right back Roper for the Arsenal. Back he comes again from Brennan. Brennan upfield now to Harvey. Harvey to Walker. Walker through now to George Robledo. He loses the ball to Ray Daniel, and Daniel puts the ball away upfield. Roper's hurt in a tackle there. And Newcastle United going on. Mitchell's got the ball. He fires the ball across the Arsenal penalty area. And that's a goal! It's a goal scored by George Robledo. Goal scored by George Robledo off the post. With Lionel Smith and Don Roper lying on the floor. From the cross, George Robledo headed in off this near post. And the referee, Mr. Ellis, judged that he couldn't stop the play because neither man was hurt enough.
Another great figure of the 50s was Nat Lofthouse of Bolton, a battering ram of a centre-forward, loved by crowds, feared by defenders. They called him the Lion of Vienna, after a marvellous performance against Austria in 1952.
Corner now to Austria.
That's the fourth corner they've had this half to be taken. It'll be an in-swinger put in by Huber, the inside left, from this near left-hand corner. Here it comes right across the goal. A very good one indeed. Well pulled down by Merrick there. Beautifully pulled down by the far post. He comes out right to the far post before throwing it up into the centre circle, where it's put through to Lofthouse, and Lofthouse is racing through. He's all his own. He's cutting right in now past the goalkeeper. He shoots. It's a goal! And Lofthouse has scored. Lofthouse has scored and made it 3-2. And actually, the goalkeeper ran straight into him, and now Lofthouse looks as though he's injured. But he is all right, and from that Merrick throw-in, right into the centre circle, Lofthouse chased it in, and once again, Trotter's been called out to attend to Lofthouse. He lobbed that ball right in as the goalkeeper crashed into him.
Lofthouse with 2, and Jackie Sewell of Sheffield Wednesday with the scorers. And England's skipper, of course, was the evergreen Billy Wright.
This day was fantastic because Vienna then was split into 3 zones, and we had to play in the Russian zone. Anyway, the match itself was a good match for us because Austria at that time were reputed to be number 1 in Europe. They'd been to England and drawn 2 each, and they'd every point they were going to beat England this day. But they didn't count on the support, the magnificent support that we had from our British Tommies, because they shouted themselves hoarse that day, and we were drawing 2 each with about 10 minutes to go, and wonderful Nat Lofthouse, who was called after this game the Lion of Vienna, went through on his own and he cracked in a beautiful goal to make it 3-2, and everything was let loose. The referee blew his whistle for time, the British Tommies came running onto the pitch, grabbed hold of us, lifted us onto their shoulders, and they carried us off. Oh, it was wonderful. I've never been so exhilarated in all my life, even though we played hard that day. But after the match, we couldn't have had it better because they took us up to a wonderful restaurant right up in the hills, right in the Vienna woods, and we had a wonderful banquet after to end the most magnificent day.
But Lofthouse the Lion and Matthews the Wizard were opponents at Wembley in 1953 for the now legendary FA Cup final between Bolton and Blackpool. Matthews was 38, and surely we thought he was at the end of his playing career. It was now or never, and when Bolton went 3-1 up, it looked like never.
And Bolton are swinging that ball desperately from 3-1 up, they're back to 3-all. Well, it's a most extraordinary tale of mistakes. This time Langton away on the left wing now, whips it across to Lofthouse. Lofthouse on the edge of the Blackpool penalty area, cuts in past his man. Can't beat him, and out comes Farm to clear. Well, I don't know who's lucky in this game, I really don't. Both sides have had plenty of chances. They both should have won the game conclusively, and they haven't. So perhaps the draw is fair at the moment. Here come Blackpool again. Right half. Pushing that ball through Fenton, through to Taylor, through to Matthews. Matthews on the edge of the Bolton penalty area, dribbling right in, past his man, 2 yards out, squares it, hit it somebody, yes, it's there! It's there! Perry has scored! Perry has scored number 4. Laid on by Stanley Matthews, Blackpool have scored number 4. Perry, the South African left winger, got an absolute jam laid on, and the stadium at the moment is a sea of tangerine. Well, it is hard luck for Bolton, who have been leading for so long, and now only in the time added on for injuries have they gone down from 3-1 to 4-3 to Blackpool.
The game has gone down in football history as the Matthews final, but with typical modesty, he shrugs off the credit. A year or 2 back, I talked to him about that extraordinary match. Despite all you achieved, most people want to talk to you about the 1953 FA Cup final when Blackpool beat Bolton by 4-3, and when at the age of 38 you got your Cup winners' medal at last.
Well, it was an ambition as a young player that you always wanted to win an FA Cup medal, and it did happen, but the Bolton match is one of those things. If that happened, the last 3 goals, the first half, it wouldn't have been so excited. But things went for us that day, and I'll give Stan Mortensen great credit because he scored 3 goals.
In a way, I suppose it ought to be called Mortensen's final.
Well, I think he did, because, you know, a lot of fans don't see actually what goes on the play, but the way Morty sort of took the centre half with him to the nearest post, he allowed Bill Perry to creep in an empty space there. And when I gave a pass, any little boy, a 4-year-old could have given a pass. It wasn't one of those swerving passes. It was so simple. And credit must go to Bill Perry too, because the way he hit it, it could have gone anyway. It could have gone over the bar, it could go anyway. And the way he hit it, it went in the back of the net, and that was it.
Do you ever get fed up with people talking to you about that game?
Brian, I get fed up. I never watch it, and it embarrasses me because I think Morty scored 3 goals. And today, if you score 3 goals in the final, you're the hero.
What many people won't know is that you really weren't fully fit for that game, and in fact, your selection for the 1953 Cup final was a bit of a gamble.
Well, yes, in the 1953, of course. What really happened on the Tuesday, we went to Blackpool Recreation Park because there are plenty of turf there. We wanted to get used to the field for the Saturday. And I'm sprinting, then I take my football boots and kicking about, and I felt my muscle at the back of my leg go a little bit. And I was very unhappy about it, and then I did a little bit of training on the Wednesday, and I wasn't quite sure about it, and I was terribly nervous, and I was doubtful actually. And the club doctor, we stayed at Harrow on the Friday, and on the Saturday morning I had just a little tryout, only just a little, and the doctor injected me, and I was still nervous when I went on, more so because I didn't want to break down, and luckily it went all right.
That was one of the peaks of a very, very long career in which you achieved so much, but do you have any regrets at all along the way, that there was something that you'd like to have done or achieved but never quite managed?
No, the only thing I wanted to play is football, and the only thing I regret, I retired when I was 50, and I think, well, I'm sure I would have gone another 2 years, because when I was 50 they changed the system, you know, that they started talking about mid-play and what have you, and midfield players. And I could have easily gone in the midfield players. I wouldn't need to dribble so much. I could have passed the ball back and so on, because I always felt that I was pretty sure I had every confidence in passing the ball, and I think I could have played, because I still had that little bit of speed. Not so much, say, 10 times out of 10, probably about 6 out of 10. And I could have gone on for another 2 years, and I regretted that.
The next big game at Wembley, though, sent waves of shock and then horror through English football. Hungary, led by the galloping Major, the great Ferenc Puskás, and the stylish Hidegkuti, who scored after 45 seconds, gave England a sharp and painful football lesson. Though at 4-2 down, England were still just about hanging on to their dignity.
Bocic, the right half again, across the England goal, through now to Kocic. He lobs it right across field, a good header, and it's hit against the post by Medic, and just bundled away there by Sewell, who come back to help his defenders. And Sewell gets in the way of another one, but no, it's no good. That was a magnificent shot by Budai from about 30 yards, well outside the penalty area. He hit that ball like a rocket. At least I think it was Budai who was swept out to him. And he hit it from 30 yards right in the top corner of the net, just as Hidegkuti did the first one, and that is score Hungary 5, England 2. Being moved across, stopped there by Dickinson, pushed by Puskás this time, right away back now to Lontos, the right back. He puts a long one up towards the England penalty, up the other heads. England get it away. No, it's only gone through now to Bocic. Bocic away out now to Buzanski, and he puts it in the centre circle now. Hungary playing a bit too much of the ball at the moment, and there's Chibor, the inside left, playing in the inside right position. He comes back to the right back. He lobs it across the goal, and it's neatly nodded right down to Puskás's foot. He lets it lob across his chest. It's straight into a beautiful goal. Straight into his man who was running in there, and he had the England defence absolutely standing still, and I think it was Kocic. They're embracing each other as well they might. That was most brilliantly done by Puskás. No, it was Hidegkuti again. Hidegkuti again. That's number 6 for Hungary. To Rob back to Sewell. Sewell racing down the left wing for England. And he's being well policed by centre-half Laurent. And Laurent kicks that ball into touch. 6-2, Hungary lead. with 10 minutes play gone in the second half, or just over 10. No, must be more than that. Now here's a good nod there by Mortensen off a long loping centre, and this time it's come through. Rob is pulled down, and there's a penalty. Penalty. Rob is pulled down by goalkeeper Grosic, who put his hand round his legs. Mortensen nodded it forward. Grosic missed it, and as Rob got it, he pulled his legs away. So up comes Alf Ramsey to take a penalty for England. Well, Grosic certainly just wrapped his legs in a real rugged tackle. You'd have thought Rob was an all black the way that one went. Now in comes Ramsey. He hits one beautifully into the net. 3 for England. Beautifully side-footed penalty by Alf Ramsey has reduced the deficit now after 14 minutes to Hungary 6, England 3.
Mortensen and Sewell were England's other scorers. It was the first time England had lost at home to continental opposition. Tom Finney, a superb winger who was affectionately known as the Preston Plumber, was picked for the match but missed it because of injury, and he watched fascinated from the stands.
This was really, you know, a revelation to me. Here we saw a team who had 4 or 5 world-class players in the side with an abundance of skill, and they really impressed me and still do, and I still say that they were the best side, international side, I ever saw or played against. We saw, though, for the first time, this what was later called the Revy plan, which was the deep-lying centre-forward. And we had a chap called Huda Keaty playing for centre-forward. He was absolutely a fantastic player. We saw this fellow Puskas come before the kick-off and throw the ball up and caught it on his foot and then knocked it with his shoulder and then caught it on the back of his neck and rolled it down and backheeled it, and this was before the game started, and you know, we thought, oh, it's all right doing this now when there's nobody, you're not in like under pressure or anything, or you're not playing the game.
Finney's own moment of triumph might and perhaps should have come a year later in the 1954 Cup final, Preston North End against West Bromwich Albion. Finney had given so much pleasure to so many that surely he was worth a winner's medal. And yet, on this day of all days, he was a loser. Indeed, he's always maintained it was one of his worst games in a Preston shirt. West Bromwich the winners by 3-2. Tom Finney and Stanley Matthews, though, what a pair of wingers. Nat Lofthouse loved playing with them.
Well, I was very lucky. I had 2 guys. One was called Matthews, one was called Finney. One was outside right, one was outside left, and anyone could have played centre forward in between those 2. Matthews was one off. There's only one Matthews. There's only one Finney to me, and for both of us to be all, you know, playing in Lancashire was great, but to play with Matthews and Finney was something out of this world. You can't describe, you can't buy. Matthews could put a ball across so accurately that he would put the lace away so it wouldn't hit you when you headed it. That was the type, and so accurate, and such a master was he. Finney was the opposite way. Finney was more of a team man. Finney would fetch, carry, score goals, make goals, and she had a perfect combination. A lot of people ask me which is the better. All I can say that I would prefer to play with Finney more than play with Matthews singly, because I used to think that Tom Finney was more of a team man. Stan was an individual, which there was only one Matthews. Finney played for the team. He was the guy I most wanted to play with in the England side. He was the guy who made more goals for me, for England, than any other player.
Then, almost immediately, there was England's return match with Hungary in Budapest. It was just before the 1954 World Cup finals, and what happened to them could hardly have come at a worse moment.
Hungary is still leading by 3-0, which is the half-time score, scored by Lantos, Puskás and Kocsis. Finney going to try an in-swinger in the far right-hand corner. Here he comes, right across the goal. Up goes Jezard, and a beautiful pull out of the air by Grosic. Sort of thing we did see him do at Wembley so extremely well. Judged to a centimetre, a long one. Out to the full-back, straight to Hiddiguti. Hiddiguti now cutting down now to Puskás. Puskás to Chibok, and Chibok do anything with it. He's cutting into the penalty area. Puts it loose, there's a man unmarked. Out goes Merrick, and he scored. Went through to Kocsis, I think. To Kocsis. I think it was the inside right. The move was so fast, Merrick came out, held himself with his feet, and the ball went under him into the net, and Hungary have scored number 4. I couldn't tell you if it was Tote, the new boy, or the inside right from here. We're right up at the top of the stadium with sun rather shining in our eyes. I thought it was Kocsis myself, but well, it doesn't matter, except that it was taken extremely beautiful way. Goalkeeper out to the fullback down the centre,
swept right across, the opening made there by Chibor, and made in a second and a half, and then finally Kocic just stabbed the ball in as Medic dived at his feet in a last despairing effort, and that is Hungary 4. Hungary 4, England 0, after 14 minutes play in the second half. England down the left wing, the ball is pushed away out there to Finney to Jezard trying to move back into position. Finney takes it, puts it back to Sewell back to Finney through to Broadis now to Harris shoots, it bounces off Finney there. She was right in the way there. Nodded sideways by Billy Wright, it's cleared by a Hungarian. It comes away out now upfield where Sewell fails to hold the ball, and it goes in the touch off the left full-back Lontosh. About level with the Hungarian penalty area. Hungary 4, England 0. Big throw to Sewell. Tapped. No, he's holding on to the ball. Got 2 men with him. He's supposed to cross the goal there. There's nobody there, but Finney does get to it, puts it through to Harris, who shoots, and once again, somehow, a Hungarian shirt gets in the way of that and breasts the ball away so the goalkeeper doesn't have to touch it. Long swinging ball away out to Chibor, the left wing. He's running down the central field. A beautiful pass away out the outside right. He's racing in now, Cote, cutting right in now into the penalty area. Out goes Medic. He shoots, and Medic bounces away. And no, it's in the net. Cote follows up, gets it back in off one of the other men. Oh, it isn't Tote. Who is it down there? I think it is Tote. Yes, Tote followed up, and although Staniforth tried to get to the ball, Medic parried, so Tote followed up and smacked it into the back of the net.
And Hungary scored yet another before England got on the score sheet.
6-0, Hungary lead. England still trying hard. Ball from right goes to Owen. Owen a little bit slow there, but he gets it away. Comes up loose now to Jezard. Jezard side foots that ball through to Broadis. Broadis to Finney. Finney was a bit too quick for that one, and he couldn't quite stop it going out of play on the far side level with the Hungarian penalty area. Very quick move of Broadis's, but it defeated Finney as well as the Hungarian defenders. There goes Mr. Bernardi's whistle again for a free kick to England over on the far side for hands. Half inside the Hungarian half. Dickinson going to take it, the left half. England players right up in the Hungarian penalty area. A chip forward there. A hook away by Laurent. He comes loose and he shoots, and oh, beautiful shot there. A beautiful shot and a beautiful goal by Broadis. He absolutely crashed that one home, and even Grosic didn't have a chance. Well, that's the first time that we've seen from Dickinson's free kick. Laurent headed it out, and Broadis hit that ball on the turn. He didn't waste a moment, and he smashed it home. Now, if we'd done that at that speed a bit earlier, well, things might have been a bit different, but that's the first time that we've taken a leaf out of the Hungarian book. So Broadis has scored number 1 now for England after 27 minutes play in the second half.
England retreated from Budapest, beaten 7-1, their heaviest ever international defeat. But they did reach the quarter-finals of the World Cup in Switzerland, no mean performance, before going out to Uruguay in a splendid game in Bâle. Scotland were the only other home country to qualify, but according to that incorrigible character Tommy Docherty, they were beaten before they arrived.
Diabolical, actually, disastrous. We were so ill prepared. We didn't know the type of opposition that we were going to meet. We'd never watched them play, we'd never seen them play, we didn't do our homework. And I would say we were probably the most ill-prepared nation at that particular time that ever took part in the World Cup competition. We took 13 players there. I don't know how many were officially allowed, but we took 13, and you know, you'd think it was the Irish team that had gone, because of the 13 players, 2 were goalkeepers. So, you know, there's no substitute for an injury or anything like that. We thought, well, that was going to be a dangerous part of the goalkeeping, so we took 2, and if you like, 11 outfield players, and we did very well against Austria in Zurich. We lost by a dicey goal, which was shown on television afterwards that the ball hadn't crossed the line, but we were very pleased with the result, and as much because Austria were a very highly rated team then. And yet, surprisingly, after that match, Andy Beattie, who was our team manager, he had a lot of differences of opinion with Sir George Graham, who was a dictator in Scottish football, and who did a tremendous amount for the game. And we had a situation where Andy and the team manager with the players, we stayed in one hotel, and we had a situation where the officials, the Scottish officials, stayed in another hotel, and Anytime Andy had to meet them, George Graham left the hotel and went 50 yards, and Andy left our hotel and went 50 yards to meet him for whatever confrontation he had with Sir George. And of course, in Andy's case, the whole situation was, under those conditions, Andy found it impossible to carry on, and he threatened, of course, and did resign. I think, in fact, he resigned in the main street somewhere where he met Sir George Graham. We'd only one game left after that, was with Uruguay, and it didn't really affect us a tremendous amount because we felt that we had to get on with the job anyway and play the match. And of course, when the game came with Uruguay, they really sent us back to our school days. You know, we were so far behind when we saw these people. We come out together, the two teams, and with these very, very thick, heavy, long-sleeve woolen Scottish shirts and long shorts and thick stockings, you know, Mansfield Hotspur boots. There was no commercialism then, and the Uruguayan team looked immaculate. They had sort of thin shirts, short-sleeve shirts, short shorts, and no shin pads on, and they looked absolutely streamlined. They looked on another planet in comparison to us, and of course they played accordingly. As they know now, you know, they beat us 7-0. They didn't beat us 7-0, actually, they murdered us. They had marvellous players like Schiaffino, who later went to Italy, and Andrade, the winger, and a little fella called Borges in the left wing. It was very, very warm in Bal that day, and, you know, we were really in the sun. And one significant factor was at half-time, when we went in for our break, every one of us went straight into the shower with our kit on, boots, the whole lot, you know, just right under the cold shower and just got absolutely soaked. We had no time for a team talk or anything, and it was as simple as that. It was just a case of getting a cold shower and getting back out again and go through all the turmoil all over again, and we got absolutely paralysed. It was embarrassing.
English football was now crossing some interesting frontiers. Its clubs were pitting their quality and strength against the best in Europe. Arsenal went to the Soviet Union and was spanked 5-0 by Moscow Dynamo before a crowd of 90,000. A month later, another top Soviet club, Spartak, visited Britain and beat Arsenal 2-1 at Highbury. But then they took on Wolverhampton Wanderers at Molineux, and Wolves, fashioned and inspired by Stanley Cullis, were a formidable side.
I make it now that there are 5 minutes left for play, plus anything added on for stoppages, and Wolves are still leading by 1-0-0. Shorthouse takes the kick, puts it away upfield, and is turned into touch by the Russian right back halfway inside the Russian half, and it's a Wolves ball. Wolves take it, put it away down the wing to young Smith. Smith now cutting in, squares the long one right across the Spartak goal. Hancock gets to it, rests it down, can't shoot, trying to get past two, went past now, he is right through, he shoots, he scores! He's been right through the lot of them! Past Grenade, Hancock's to score! Well, now that news will please his father, who's ill, couldn't come to the match, and is listening at home, and also his mother, who's there too. That's Johnny Hancock's number 2 for Wolves after 41 minutes play of the second half. Well, he just wriggled his way through like an eel there, and finally held onto it, dribbled past, now he's away again, sends the ball up through to Swinburne, no, tricks his man first, holds it, swings it, no, he won't pass the Broadbent, he's drawing the defence, puts it neatly inside his man this time, no, he held on too long. Well, that's Wolverhampton 2, Spartak North now. There comes Neto, the left half for the ball, and out comes Stewart again, and takes the ball clean away from Ilian, the left winger, lobs it away upfield, a good header forward to Hancock, Swinburne, he's on the side, and he's racing through, he shoots, and he scores! Swinburne, a beauty!
Wolves won by 4-0. Their scorers, Johnny Hancocks with 2, Roy Swinburne and Dennis Wilshaw. And just 3 weeks later, Hungary's leading club, Honvéd, were at Molineux. Honvéd with Puskás and half the Hungarian side, which had embarrassed England. A night, perhaps, for revenge.
It looks to me as though the Hungarians are getting very reckless. They're leading by 2-1, admittedly on conditions that do not agree with them. but they're looking very much more dangerous than they did in the first half. And finally, they've got the ball into touch. And it's Wolves' ball, a neat back healer there by Swinburne. Swinburne through to Broadbent. Broadbent can't do very much with it. Comes out now to Koshish. Koshish the inside right, and he chips that ball away out towards his right winger, but behind him. And their forwards are starting to get rattled by the speed of the Wolves players. There's no doubt at all about it. There's a beautiful tackle there by Wilshaw. Wilshaw, long one down the centre. Hunter Smith. Smith's coming up now into the hard red penalty area. Squares in. Who's going to put it in? Wilshaw! Swinburne! A goal! And Swinburne's got number 2. A lovely one by Swinburne. Yes, as Hungarians were certainly getting rattled. 2-2 now with 15 minutes left to play.
That was a beautiful goal. Started by Ron Flowers, a magnificent tackle on the halfway line. He takes the ball through. He sent it 30 yards forward to Smith, the outside left. A very quick centre, and there was 2 Wolves waiting in the goal mouth. Swinburne got to it and headed into the net. A magnificent goal. And Hungary now are just about, well, they're nothing like as speedy as they were. They're going back on defence. Not even 3 forwards that they had in the first half are up. They haven't. Williams has touched the ball twice in the last quarter of an hour. And these Wolves are putting up a magnificent fight. They're still going as fresh now as they were when they started. And I must say it's the Honved that are giving way first. They're pushing, they're taking advantage of everything. The goalkeeper's even dropping the ball in the mud so that it sticks and he can waste time. The half-backs are walking upfield with the ball and making them push back. But those Wolves are getting at them, and here they are again coming through.
Here come Wolves again, right across the centre line. Sweeping up through Smith. Smith down the centre, right through to Hancock. He shoots. He scored! He scored! He scored! Hancock has scored, number 3!
Wolves the winners by 3-2, with Swinburne again on the mark, hitting the winner. Wolves were a side of and commitment, a side too with a strong backbone of internationals. And one of them, Dennis Wilshaw, earned himself a line in the record book when England faced Scotland at Wembley in the spring of 1955.
A throw-in for Scotland, about halfway inside the England half on the far side. 28 minutes gone. 17 minutes to go as Riley gives the ball, tries to give it back to Doherty, but Blunstone back helping his defenders, and that has been a feature of the England team. They've been everywhere, forwards, defenders, all over the place, and always in the right position, as Armstrong gives that ball to his right back Meadows. A nice square pass, Meadows down to Lofthouse, Lofthouse back again to Armstrong, Armstrong out to Matthews, Matthews just chasing the ball and flicking it over Davidson's head, and puts it through to Wilshaw. Wilshaw just outside the penalty area, going past Cunningham. He must score. Yes, another goal for Wilshaw. Wilshaw must have scored 4, I think. 3 he has. And that is 29 minutes with another magnificent goal. Each and all of these 6 goals, well, 2 lucky ones, but the other ones clean cut, the product of really devastating football.
Upfield into the Scotland half from Williams. The goal kick nodded sideways into touch for Edwards to take England's throw in 10 yards inside his own half on the far side of the field. He puts it to Wilshaw. Wilshaw surprisingly fit and tremendously brainy. And here he puts one out to Blunstone. Blunstone finds it, head down by the fullback. He's cutting right into the penalty area. Fires across the goal. There's nobody there, but Lofthouse has raced out and got to it. Turns it back to Stanley Matthews. They're just outside the Scotland penalty area. Up goes Stanley. Dribbles inside his man along the ground. Revy lobs it through to Wilshaw. He scores! And Wilshaw scored a hat-trick in this half. 4, but a hat-trick in this half. That's his 3rd on the run. That was brilliant work by Revy, who didn't get a chance, so he just chipped it forward, and Wilshaw raced out, lunged forward that long left leg, and has now scored his 3rd in this half, making the score England 7, Scotland 1, with now 7 minutes left to play.
England 7, Scotland 2, and a record 4 goals for Wilshaw in matches against the old enemy. Nat Lofthouse with 2 and Don Revie were England's other scorers. And this was the game, by the way, which marked the international debut of Duncan Edwards, at 18 years and 183 days, the youngest ever to play for England. But in the FA Cup, again lighting up the season with its own special kind of drama, it was Newcastle's year yet again. They'd won the old trophy in 1951 and 1952, And now, in 1955, they were back again. Jackie Milburn was also there, of course, and for him, immediately, there was a goal, a headed goal, and for Milburn, that was rare. Alan Clark was in the commentary box.
Corner to Newcastle on this side of the field. 1 goal each, Milburn having scored in the first minute, and then the equaliser coming from Johnston, the Manchester City inside forward. Milburn takes the corner, up goes Troutman, he'll get this easily, head high, and throws it up to Revy. Now Revy racing down the right wing on the far side, over the halfway line, well inside the half, inside to Johnston. Webby waiting on the outside, through to Hayes there on the edge of the penalty area. Can he shoot? No, he can't get a shot in before he falls over himself, and Newcastle scramble the ball upfield to Hannah, who comes well back inside his own half and does find Schooler in the right half position, well upfield. Schooler inside the Manchester City half, long ball to Milburn to race onto. Keeple comes across, finds White. White with the ball, puts it right across the far side, and it's a chance here for Mitchell. He shoots, it's there! It's a goal!
Bobby Mitchell with the second. George Hannah hit the third in Newcastle's 3-1 win, with Bobby Johnston, that dapper little Scottish international, replying for Manchester City. The 1956 Cup final between Manchester City and Birmingham City is remembered for 2 things. Don Revie's role as a deep-lying centre-forward for Manchester City, henceforth known as the Revie Plan, and the courage of their goalkeeper, Bert Trautmann, a former German prisoner of war who played for the last quarter of an hour with a broken neck after one typically daring diving save. Revie's perception and Trautmann's courage added up to a 3-1 victory for Manchester City. Wembley also heard the samba beat of the Brazilians in 1956, Brazil building a side that would win the World Cup twice. But England, that day, were inspired.
Well, now here's Matthews, Stanley Matthews, away up the right wing for England, drawing the ball, taking the ball past the fullback, turning on it, twisting, trying to get it away, and finally Stanley's got it and puts it into touch off the fullback. Bit of booing from the crowd because the linesman was finally given the throw in to Brazil, and back comes into touch this time, and quite rightly to England's ball. Stanley Matthews passing it back now to Clayton. Clayton, the right half, a long one. It's being raced for there, and it's just been missed by Taylor. Taylor couldn't quite turn the ball quickly. Stanley Matthews was nearly there, but here comes their left back, Nilton Santos, to push the ball upfield, where Billy Wright pushes it across field there, and I thought with his hands myself. But the referee didn't blow, so perhaps we had a bit of luck there. And he comes upfield now to Taylor. Taylor now across field. A short square one to Haynes. Haynes turns in his tracks. The neat pass forward there meant for Clayton. And Clayton loses that one. He was a bit too far behind that one. He didn't anticipate that one. But there's Jeff Hall now pushing the ball up to Stanley Matthews, now cutting in towards the Brazilian penalty area. Across the ball, the goal goes. The header! A beauty! A beauty there by Colin Granger, who'd come right in from the left wing, and he nodded that ball clean to the goalkeeper's hands to number 4. Well, Granger is a newcomer to England's side, and what a newcomer.
England won by 4-2, with a couple each from Tommy Taylor and Colin Granger. And now, too, there was a new challenge for English football, European competition for its top clubs. Chelsea, who'd been league champions in 1955, were first to qualify for the European Cup. But on advice from a suspicious football league, they didn't take part. Manchester United, though, were made of sterner stuff. And after they'd won the championship in 1956, Matt Busby couldn't wait to cross the bridge into Europe. And they didn't make a bad start either. They cruised past Anderlecht and Borussia Dortmund in the first 2 rounds, and then faced Atletico Bilbao in the quarter-finals. United lost the first leg in Spain by 5-3, but back at Old Trafford they levelled the scores with goals from Dennis Viollet and Tommy Taylor.
And there's about 6.5 minutes left to play in this match here at Main Road. Free kick to United, taken by Byrne. Headed out to the far side. Very cleverly held by Berry, beats his man, tries to move around on the outside of him, and he runs first to Taylor. Taylor is brought down just on the edge of the penalty area. No, the referee has waved play off. Down went Taylor there, a shout from the crowd, but the referee quickly flung his arms in the air, indicated the play should go on, and on it does to the Bilbao left wing. A through ball there, followed all the way by Mark Jones, put back quite comfortably to goalkeeper Wood. United still lead by 2-0. 6 minutes left to play. Still time for Manchester United to score 1 to save the journey to Paris for the replay on the 13th of March. But Bilbao seemed determined right at this stage to hold on to this position and for everybody to move back in defence. Bad clearance there for Mark Jones. Doesn't go very far, but it goes to Edwards, which is a good thing for United. A long one from Edwards down the right wing. Taylor's there. Taylor cuts inside, flicks it forward, still has it. And Taylor turns it back to Berry, shoots, and it's a goal. There it is. A great goal by little Berry.
In the semi-finals, though, United ran into Real Madrid, one of the finest club sides of all time, a side bristling with many of the world's outstanding players. United lost 3-1 in Madrid, but held the great Real to a 2-2 draw at Old Trafford. They were out of Europe, but the experience had been priceless. United's young team were affectionately known as the Busby Babes. Among them, that prodigy Duncan Edwards, who was already making an important mark at international level.
Scotland won, England won. Ball comes up to centre circle, it's headed down, comes to McCall. McCall with a scissor sort of kick, clears the ball out to Ring, but Hall gets there before him, puts the ball forward. Doherty chases up, gets the ball back to Ring. Ring puts it inside Hall. Hall doubles back, puts the ball into Wright. Wright slips, most unlucky for Wright, but he gets up, and the ball comes back to Ring. Ring coming in, Riley running into position. Hall goes back, Ring bringing the ball up to 18-yard line, he accelerates quickly, but Hall gets a foot to the ball, puts it out of play. A throw-in for Scotland, 4 yards from the corner flag on this side of the field. Ring to Doherty, level of the 18-yard line, left half Doherty puts the ball right across, over a bit too far. Byrne lets it go over his head, turns around, clears it out to Granger with Calder coming in beside them. They both go down. Calder's up first, just on the touchline, puts the ball again to Byrne. It comes back. Calder still has it. Tackled by Kevin. Kevin takes the ball from him, puts it through to Matthews. Matthews in the middle of the field, coming up, Doherty beside him, puts the ball out to his outside left, who's Finney just now. And Finney coming up with the whole Scottish defence after him, into Matthews, an inside left position. Back again to Finney. And it's Huey who's away across on the right, hoping, getting the ball away from Finney, and left back Byrne comes up, helping his forwards, puts the ball through. McCall misses it, it goes to Matthews, but little Calder beats Matthews, takes the ball from him, brings it upfield, puts it inside to Fernie. Fernie gets there along with Edwards. Edwards takes the ball from him, coming through in his own, having a shot, it's a goal for England! A wonderful goal, and Duncan Edwards jumps high in the air as he scored that magnificent goal from about 25 yards.
And England won by 2-1, with Derek Kevin of West Bromwich Albion hitting the winner. Indeed, in 1957, Duncan Edwards and Manchester United were on course for the League and Cup double. They were already league champions when they faced Aston Villa in the cup final. A final best remembered for the early collision between United's keeper Ray Wood and Villa's Irish international winger Peter McParland, with Wood carried off on a stretcher with a fractured cheekbone and then returning bravely to play on the wing. In those days, remember, there were no substitutes. And when McParland scored twice in 5 minutes for Villa, time for United seemed to be running out.
Free kick to Manchester United inside their own half, put forward short to right half Coleman, who loses the ball, and immediately Villa drive the ball down back into United's half and into touch about 5 yards inside the United half on this near touchline. Up it goes with only 9 minutes to go, and Coleman, the right half, holds onto the ball, dribbles past two men, stabs it across field to Berry. Berry away out now to Taylor. Taylor on the right wing tries to beat two men. He's got the ball, he's passed two men, and he's cut right in. He's past the third man. He's on the goal line, squares across the goal, and it's too slow. And Sewell is there as he made a despairing header the last time to save what looked like a possible United goal. So there he was, cool as a cucumber, to sweep the ball into touch, and the score remains Aston Villa 2, Manchester United 0. Now here comes Tommy Taylor again trying to put that ball in, and again this time it's Jimmy Dixon, the Villa skipper, and inside left to turn it behind, and that is yet another corner. And on my card, a large number of C's here, 8 corners now for Manchester United, but two very much more essential facts. 2 goals scored by McFarland on the other side of the card for Aston Villa. Here comes Berry's kick right across. The Villa goal up go the heads, and this time Duncan Edwards and Tommy Taylor both crash into each other, and once again it's left to Dugdale to nod it away behind, and Duncan Edwards is going to take the corner now from the far side of the field. He comes now across the goal. It's a spinner. Up goes Taylor. It's headed there. It's there! It's there! Right in off the post. And Taylor has scored number 1 for Manchester United. Right away over the clutching hands of Nigel Sims and the heads of the despairing Aston Villa backs. And now the game has really come to life. Because I make it there is 7 minutes left to play. And in the 38th minute, Tommy Taylor has equalised from a Duncan Edwards corner. Has added 1 for Manchester United. And Ray Wood is now going back in goal. The referee's just coming down to see this because Jackie Blanchard feels it now. And Manchester United have got to go on the attack.
To no avail, though. It was Villa's Cup by 2-1. But the following season, 1957-8, Manchester United were back in Europe again, their sights still on the Cup for Champions. They beat Shamrock Rovers, Dukla Prague, and then Red Star Belgrade. But then, on the way home from Belgrade on the 6th day of February 1958, disaster. Their plane crashed while taking off at a Munich airport that was white with snow. 8 players died: Roger Byrne, Jeff Bent, Eddie Coleman, Mark Jones, David Pegg, Tommy Taylor, and 15 days later, Duncan Edwards. Matt Busby was on the critical list for nearly a month. The country and the world of football mourned. But United, the club, still had a heartbeat. The FA approved special signings, and with the few survivors, goalkeeper Harry Gregg, big defender Bill Foulkes, and the young Bobby Charlton, and 1 or 2 reserves, they reached the semi-finals of the FA Cup. And then Old Trafford heard the news it was waiting for. Over the public address system came a familiar, gentle Scottish voice.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am speaking from my bed in the Iser Hospital, Munich, where I have been since the tragic accident of just over a month ago. You will be glad, I am sure, to know that the remaining players here and myself are now considered out of danger. And this can be attributed to the wonderful treatment and attention given us by Professor Maurer and his wonderful staff, who are with you today as guests of the club. I am obliged to the Empire News for giving me this opportunity to speak to you, for it is only this last 2 or 3 days that I have been able to be told anything about football. And I am delighted to hear of the success and united effort made by all at Old Trafford. Again, it's wonderful to hear that the club have reached the semi-final of the FA Cup. And I enclose my best wishes to everyone. And finally, may I just say, God bless you all.
Matt Busby, still weak but recovering miraculously from his terrible injuries. United, not surprisingly perhaps, lost to AC Milan in the semi-final of the European Cup. But borne along on a tide of emotion and hope, they beat Fulham by 5-3 in the semi-final of the FA Cup to reach Wembley for the 2nd year running. And at the heart of it all was Bobby Charlton. Maturity was being thrust on him. In mid-April, he was at Hampden Park for the annual set-to between Scotland and England. He scored too, a classic Charlton volley from Finney centre from the left. Derek Kevin with 2 and Brian Douglas of Blackburn Rovers were the other scorers. England 4, Scotland 0. And in Scotland's side, for the first time, was a young man called Dennis Law. 2 weeks later, Bobby Charlton was walking out at Wembley. Their cup-final opponents, Bolton Wanderers. And, as it proved, it was Bolton's day. Nat Lofthouse, the old lion of Vienna, put Bolton ahead in only the 2nd minute. And then, in the second half, the moment that settled everything.
Holden, moving the ball inside. Stevens jumps over the ball, lets it go loose to Edwards. A through ball, a flick there to Stevens, who shoots! And it's a great save by Gregg. Or is it? Yes, it's there! 2 to Bolton. Lofthouse. Well, number 2 for Bolton that can be
put down in the history books as a goal by Lofthouse, but really a very fine shot by Stevens, the inside forward. Grigg saved the ball, tipped it up in the air, but not enough to put it over the bar. It came down behind him, and as he went for it, so he was charged by centre forward Lofthouse into the net, ball as well, and it makes number 2. And Grigg now receiving attention in the Manchester United net, but I don't think really anybody can say that it was a foul by any degree at all. Unlucky to Grigg, but certainly the ball flew out of his hands into the net, and it makes it number 2. I'm quite certain the Manchester United supporters will not hold that against Nat Lofthouse. A fair, square goal, a partial save by Grigg, but not quite enough to push it over the bar at the first attempt. So 2-0 to Bolton. Would you just like to comment on that?
Yes, I think it's one of those things that can happen any time. It was a really fair shot by Stevens. I thought Eddie Grigg did extraordinarily well. He pushed it up in the air, then saw it was going to drop this side of the bar, and as he leapt and grabbed it at the same time, a perfectly fair shoulder charge by Lofthouse with his right shoulder hit him just as he got the ball in his hands, and the ball shot out of his hands. There's no doubt to my mind that Grigg was between Nat Lofthouse and the ball, and the way it shot out at right angles in the back of the net, there was no doubt that he had it in his hands, but couldn't hold it. Perfectly fair charge, shoulder to shoulder it was, not in the goalkeeper's stomach, not in the goalkeeper's back, but understandably, Grigg, having turned his face on the ball, has been taken unawares, as it were, by that collision, and has suffered some hurt. He's now being pulled onto his feet. The trainers are rushing round, the Manchester team are round, but I would say splendid opportunist by a man who has led England for many times, and as far as I can remember, has never had a foul given against him. He's always charged meticulously, and that was a meticulous charge, and I think a very good goal.
Bolton's Cup by 2-0, though in later years, of course, that second goal wouldn't have been allowed. United's patchwork side had done well, but too many of the young men they lost at Munich were irreplaceable. None more so, as Bobby Charlton recalled many years later, than the mighty Duncan Edwards.
Well, Duncan Edwards, you can't lump him in with anybody else because he was so head and shoulders above everyone else. Even if I run my football schools now, little lads come to me at 7 or 8 year old, you know, and they said, "Bobby, can you tell us about Duncan Edwards?"
Do they really?
Yeah, the parents have obviously passed it on, that the great skill that Duncan Edwards had. I always remember Jimmy Murphy telling me, when I first arrived when I was 15, he was taking me to my digs, and he said, "Bobby," says, "I have got a player called Duncan Edwards who you'll be playing with." He says, and he's got a great right foot, a great left foot, strong in the air, magnificent in the tackle, reads the game brilliantly, has a tremendous shot. He says, and when I knock all the rough edges off him, I'm going to make him a decent player. And being a cocky little lad who'd come from the northeast and played for England schoolboys, I thought, well, there's nobody as good as that, he said. But it was a fact. It really was a fact. Had all those attributes that I've mentioned, but he had an enthusiasm to match and a passion, and he loved the game. And add to that strength and an ability to pass the ball 60, 70, 80 yards and pinpoint passes. It's a pity, really, that there's no great television footage of Duncan Edwards' great skill, because he was the best player, the best all-round player, without question, that I've ever seen.
As for Nat Lofthouse, well, no one should blame him for that controversial goal. And as he proved when the Soviet Union came to Wembley in October 1958, he could still fashion goals of the finest quality.
But England haven't finished yet. There's a beautiful Charlton header through to Douglas. Douglas now along the ground. Haynes hits it down to Finney. Finney cutting in. What's he going to do? Hits it. Oh, and it's a beautiful save by Belyayev. Beautiful save right down by that far post. Well, Russia completely overrun now. And up comes Shaw, and he's still got the ball, and he came up to tackle it. He turns it inside now. Lofthouse pressed it down. It's going to go through to Brian Douglas, and the ball is taken off his toe, I think, for a corner. It must be a corner because it was lobbed over by a Russian foot off Douglas's toe. Corner it is down this near right-hand corner. Douglas takes it, an out swing and across the goal. Up go the heads, and again Belyayev has to turn it way over the crossbar on the far side. Yet another corner to England. Johnny Haynes racing out just like he did last time, but this time out comes Wynhoff to try and mark it. Anyhow, they still work the short corner. Finney through to Haynes. Haynes back through now. And it's come through to Slating. Shoots. Oh, he's just shot wide. Anyhow, it wouldn't have mattered because Linesman's flag was up, but Lofthouse, Brown, Douglas were offside. England 4, Russia 0, and about a minute left to play. That was a quick goal kick attempt, but it didn't go outside the penalty area. Referee Geek said, come on, take it again. Belyayev now upfield, nodded forward by Simonian, breasted down by Clayton. Clayton, the right half, out to Brown Douglas on the right wing. And he loses the ball, but High is there to put it across to Clayton. England defenders and forwards moving in close cooperation now. Lofthouse through everything, shoot, hits the goal! Oh, a beautiful goal by Dan Lofthouse. Turned right the way round Nestle Olkin and hit it up in the top corner. And I think I'm right in saying that Lofthouse will now regain the honour of scoring the most goals for England.
That was Lofthouse's 30th and last goal for England. The final score, England 5, the Soviet Union 0, with Johnny Haynes contributing a hat-trick and Bobby Charlton popping in a penalty. Nothing captures the imagination of the public more than a spot of giant killing in the FA Cup, a touch of daring do by one of its unconsidered trifles. And in season 1958-9, it was the turn of Norwich City, then of the 3rd Division, to confound everybody. They beat Manchester United and then Cardiff of the 2nd Division and then Tottenham Hotspur. And in their quarter-final replay with Sheffield United, Norwich's main goal scorer, a bulldozer called Terry Bly, was again on the mark. Emrys Walters.
The ball comes out this time to Hill, who's gone out to the left wing. He puts it back to Crow. Crow upfield, tries to find Hill, but Hill falls, and it's Sheffield United trying to start an attack, but they don't get very much chance because these terrier-like canaries, as they're called, Norwich, don't give them a moment, and the whistle's gone for an infringement against the Norwich player for what appeared to be a bit of a push there. And it's going to be a free kick inside the Sheffield United half, and it's Graham Shaw to take it. Now here comes Graham Shaw, takes it right-footed, puts it upfield. A dummy sold by one of the Sheffield United forwards, but in comes Thurlow and bangs it hard and high, the highest this evening, but it goes instead to Coldwell, and Coldwell returns the corner with a high one into the penalty area, but Butler is there. His header comes very nicely to Crow, who plays very good football indeed, comes out, keeping at it all the time, but Graham Shaw, like a flash of lightning, cuts in, intercepts and puts a long pass out to the left flank. He's being chased by Lewis, who's come right across, and in the end it's Lewis who concedes a throw-in 2 or 3 yards from the Norwich line on this side of the field. And it's McCrone coming 2 or 3 yards from his own line, the right half McCrone, to take the throw-in for Norwich. Norwich leading by a goal to 0. We still have Hamilton off the field. As we wait for this throw-in, it comes right down the line, but it comes again to Graham Shaw, who makes to go one way, then sells a dummy, puts it back to Joe Shaw. Joe Shaw in the centre circle, lobs it upfield, but it's a Norwich head who gets to it, but not very far, because Hoyland, covering up, gathers, puts it back into the penalty area, but again it's headed out for Norwich, and the ball comes away this time to their inside forward, Alcock running through, puts a nice pass on to Terry Bly going through, he's going to try and get to this, and it's there! It's a goal! Goal number 2!
Norwich won by 3-2. Their booming anthem, On the Ball City, threatened to carry them all the way to Wembley. But the cup can also be cruel, and Norwich, having been given so much, were then pipped by a single goal by Luton in the semi-finals, and Luton, in turn, were beaten by Nottingham Forest at Wembley. Forest with a winger called Roy Dwight, a cousin of pop superstar Elton John, and a player who in the final scored a goal and broke a leg.
And White seems to be concentrating very much in the centre of the field right at this moment. Now the ball for Nottingham Forest, go down to the left, Imlex onto it, and he's beaten his man. Very comfortably indeed, inside the area, puts it right across, the first time shot there by Dwight, and there it is! Dwight! Well, there it is, just over 9 minutes of the first half gone, and Nottingham Forest have gone into the lead through Dwight, playing, as I said, in this probing role in the centre of the field, and slamming it past Bainham, so it's Forest 1 up.
Owen again, pushing it back, upfield of the halfway line, but intercepted there by McKinley. Centre half, McKinley for Nottingham Forest. Pushing it across this side of the field, comes down to Gray. Gray takes it on the turn down to Imlek. McNally moving back. Gray turns. Imlek tried to turn on the inside of him, but it cannons off halfback Groves and comes across this wing now to Bingham down in front of it, and he's challenged by the fullback McDonald, and the ball turned into touch. Bingham takes a quick one, but Morton rather slow to get at it. Bingham throws it down the wing. Morton once again. Shadowed there by McKinley, the centre half of Nottingham Forest. Finds the ball turned into touch again. Bingham still going to take it. Throws it inside there to Cummings. Cummings to Bingham again. Then a lob inside the Nottingham Forest penalty area, but well back is Imlek. To pick onto their ball. Swing it out to the left over this side. Wilson racing for it. Sid Owen chasing him down on this side, but Wilson's got the advantage. Has Owen moving back. The ball goes loose inside the penalty area, and there is stopped by left fullback McNally, right fullback rather McNally. Switches the ball upfield, but Forest again cheekily take it quite comfortably. Inside left, Gray right across the field, ahead of there, and then Braden is there. Number 2.
Scored by Tommy Wilson. Forest 2, Luton 1, the final score. In the following year, 1960, a shaven head entered the lists. It belonged to Derek Dugan of Blackburn Rovers, tall, angular and bright, a future chairman of the Players' Union, the PFA, but then a young eccentric, who not only shaved his head, but asked for a transfer on the morning of the final between Blackburn and Wolves. And it has to be said, Blackburn and Dugan were not at their best.
Wolves leading by 2 goals to nothing. Here comes goalkeeper Leyland with one of his few very bad kicks. Slices that ball, or rather hooks it in golfing terms. You must think of golf today too. Away out to the left, into touch just inside the Wolves' half. Once again, the Wolves try to attack down their right wing. So again, the ball is released carefully back to goalkeeper Leyland, who throws the ball out this time. Rather short. Up into the centre circle. Wolves have it again. Dealey cutting down through the centre, being tackled by Ronnie Clayton. And Ronnie Clayton puts a good 25-yard pass right back to goalkeeper Leyland. Leyland, a long kick. And this time Dugan beats his man in the air, gets hold of the ball, puts it through now to Bimson. Bimson trying to turn that in. Can he do it? No. Blocked by Jerry Harris. And a corner to Blackburn. I make it about 3 minutes left for play now, less than 3 minutes. And I think this quick one is good. No, it isn't. No. McLeod has come away. Douglas lobs that ball right across the Wolves' goal, straight into Finlayson's hands. He fixed it out the air very cleanly, throws it across to Dealey. Dealey, the Wolves' right wingers, racing down now. Murray and Stobbart, and they're going to be offside unless they're very careful. But no, Dealey is taking the ball on down. Finally, he puts it to his outside man, and Wolves have brought the ball back across field until he comes to Broadbent, who's only about 2 or 3 yards from this wing. And playing at a walking pace, they get the ball out to Flowers. Flowers now through to Stobbart, who's onside. He crosses the ball across the goal. It's missed by Leyland there, and it's turned into the net. Turned into the net there. 2 misses by Matt Woods and Leyland, and finally turned into the net by Dealey.
Dealey also scored another. Blackburn contributed an own goal, and Wolves won by 3 goals to 0. And to cap Blackburn's unhappy day, their fullback David Whelan broke a leg, one of a run of injuries in the final, which led to talk of a Wembley hoodoo. But Wembley, the old stadium, takes the good with the bad, and against powerful Spain later that year, England were undoubtedly good.
Now here come England with a long pass away up the wing. Can Bobby Smith hold it in play? He has done. Smith on the left wing now with the other England forwards coming up to him. Greaves is there, but that's a bad pass by Smith. And Spain take the ball away through Suarez, the captain. away down in the inside right position, twisting and turning like a corkscrew there on this wet pitch, finally sending it to Di Stefano, who's come up into the centre forward position now for once, away out now, and there's Henter going for the ball, and he reckons that he's had his legs lifted from under him, and the referee agrees, and he now reckons he's been hurt. I don't think he possibly could have been. Anyhow, it's a free kick to Spain, just outside the England penalty area. Been taken by Hento. He nips that within. That's a very dangerous one. And a very good header by Di Stefano. And it's taken well by Springham. Springham throws it away. And away come England. Bobby Smith is well up there. Greaves is coming inside now. But instead of which, Charlton puts the ball through to Haynes. Haynes is still taking the ball up now. Going through, and he's bowled over just outside the Spanish penalty area. Tackled from behind. And the play is losing a lot of the classical football that we saw in these conditions. Now the ball was just pushed forward there by Greaves for Douglas to run on to, but the referee whistled up. The Spaniards were not 10 yards away. And that's lucky for England, because Douglas wasn't even looking for that one. Now Greaves going to chip it across the goal. Here it goes up to the heads to Charlton. It goes loose. There's a flick out there by Verges, the left half, and an acrobatic kick again, and that sends the ball well down into the England half. Swan doesn't quite know what to do with it. Eventually decides he'll put it up to his right back Armfield. Armfield, a low ground pass which only finds a Spaniard, and there's little Henter, the outside left with it. Through now to Del Sol. Del Sol, a lovely back heel, but as he beats one England man, he hasn't beaten Jimmy Greaves. Jimmy Greaves, a short square pass, and it's only a beautiful movement by Flowers. Flowers across field now to Haynes. Haynes going through, and away out now to Charlton on the left wing. They're just level with the Spanish penalty area. Charlton draws the ball back. He's coming up to his fullback. He's holding the ball all the time. Chips it across, header by Smith. It's there! Smith has scored! Now that really got the Spaniards' body. A beautiful drawback by Charlton and a model header by Smith.
Bobby Smith of Tottenham, a warrior of a centre-forward, scored twice. The mercurial Jimmy Greaves got one, and so did Brian Douglas. England 4, Spain 2. And with players of the quality of Johnny Haynes and Bobby Charlton in the side as well, it seemed likely that one day they'd tear some poor opponent apart. That day was the 15th of April, 1961. And Scotland were chosen.
Free kick to England, 3 yards inside the centre circle, and the score with about 18 minutes play gone is still England 1, Scotland 0. A good one right up there, oh, much too good, even against the wind. That one by Flowers, lobbed right over all the forwards, over all the defenders, straight into Haffey's hands. Up goes Swan in the air, and I certainly thought he pushed Ian St John in the back. Free kick to Scotland, very nearly halfway through in the England half, but a poor one there, and England just working that ball, and they're working it very much too carelessly in my estimation, because Ian St John nearly flicked a very dangerous pass out to Wilson on the left wing, but he couldn't do it. Finally, it was cleared away upfield by England into the centre circle. Now Scotland have it. And it's allowed to run forward to Mackay. Mackay, a nice pass to Quinn. Quinn holding the ball, flicks it away out to Wilson. And Wilson trying to get past Armfield, loses the ball. Armfield holds it in play. Inside, very neatly along the ground to Robson. Robson, beautifully timed pass to Douglas, who's come inside to inside right. Now upfield, now to Haynes. Haynes forward to Greaves. Greaves going through, but I think he's going to beat him. No! He's hooked it over the goalkeeper's head and into the net. A magnificent piece of work by Greaves and Haynes. Well, no wonder the Italians want to pay $250,000 for him. They deserve it if they get that sort of football. Superbly timed. Haynes to Greaves, and Greaves rushing on, timed it perfectly, and hooked it over Haffey's head, giving him no chance as he came out, just as if he was standing still. And I make that now, I think that is 19 and a half minutes, say 20, and England are leading by 2-0. Here comes Scotland, still trying valiantly. Good header out by Flowers, gets the ball away up to Douglas. Douglas neatly inside, and there are 3 England forwards. Smith pushes the ball now to Haynes. Haynes, Charlton on the outside, Smith and Greaves, and Smith gets it, puts it through to Greaves, and the side flick this time by Smith was a bit too hard, and Greaves couldn't get a shot in. So now Scotland come back, take the ball up to the centre line, and score England 8, Scotland 3. And And the ball worked out now to Wilson, who's been a real box of tricks on the left wing, and he gets the ball back and just outside the penalty area, flicks it inside this time. It's intercepted by Robson. Robson puts the spring it, and Ian St. John came in there with his foot, and the referee saying, not tackle the goalkeeper, please, with your foot. The spring, it hasn't been hurt. He's leaned down his ankle. It looks all right. He's cleared into touch. Into touch, 10 yards inside the Scottish half. And the throw-in goes from the left back up to the left half McCann, through to Ian St. John, the centre forward, making a road for Quinn, who's going out away on the right wing for Scotland. Level with the England penalty area now, being marked by McNeil. McNeil stops the ball, treads on it, turns round, and all members of the England team seem decided that they will sell the dummy and jink this way and body swerve, so that the Scottish team just cannot get an idea what they're going to do. His kick this time is out of play, halfway inside the England half. Scotland coming back, putting the ball through out of Mackay. Mackay's never ceased urging his forwards, and indeed doing their work for them if he could. The ball's only just outside the England penalty area, and Ian St. John takes a tremendous kick, which I would have thought had been penalised by both referees. There's dangerous, but it was cleared anyhow by Swan, and referees whistled up for something. Oh, free kick to be taken by Shearer, the Scottish right back. Scotland now bring the ball back in the centre of the England half, pushing it forward there for Quinn. Quinn loses the ball in the tackle, sends it up through to Greaves. Greaves through to Charlton. Charlton trying to do too much with the ball. They lose it because it bounced off a Scottish leg. But back come the England defenders with Greaves. Greaves now starting an attack through to Haynes. Haynes lobbing one forward, flicked sideways by Douglas. Douglas through to Smith, and Smith finds one there, shoots, and he scores! And that is England's 9th goal. This combination of the England forwards has to be seen to be believed. Now, Douglas Lowe told you that I have never seen an England side play like this, and I said that a long time ago. 41 minutes play gone, and England now lead by 9 goals to 3. They are bewildering. They are just like Quicksilver, and nobody knows where the shot's coming from next.
England 9, Scotland 3. Poor Frank Hathey in the Scotland goal. The England scorers that famous day: Greaves with 3, Haynes and Smith with 2 each, Douglas and Bobby Robson, who some 20 years later, of course, would be England's manager himself. A 9-3 is still the record win and biggest aggregate for the long-running feud between England and Scotland. And if that was one of England's finest moments, there's no doubt either that the outstanding club side of the time was Tottenham Hotspur, a side built with care and precision by Bill Nicholson, a side of light and shade, steel and rhythm, led by Danny Blanchflower, and given infinite variety by players such as Dave Mackay, John White, Cliff Jones and Bobby Smith. They won the league championship with firm and persuasive authority, and then met Leicester City in the FA Cup final. Would they be the first club in the 20th century to complete the league and cup double?
Cheeseborough for Leicester, trying to move it down the right wing, stopped there by Henry. Over Smith, up in the middle is Allen, but it goes to Jones. Jones across this side at Dyson, who's in the outside right position at this moment. Allen, inside forward, moving onto the ball. I don't think he can par up with it. Yes, he does, along the ground. Dyson again, left foot, inside. Smith shoots, and it's there! Bobby Smith has scored for Spurs! 30 minutes play gone. In the second half, Spurs leading by 1-0. Scored by Bobby Smith, centre forward, after 23.5 minutes. Ball into touch on the far side. Thrown down by McClintock, comes loose to Mackay. Mackay moving down the Spurs wing over the far side. Dyson's there, and as the ball goes into touch again in line with the Leicester penalty area, it's back to you, Ray McGlendenny.
Thank you, Alan, and the referee, as I take over, blows because I think Leicester tried to pinch a couple of yards of ground on the throw-in. It's below their penalty area, 16 yards in their far corner flag. Nodded very quickly up now to Keyworth. Keyworth tries to send his own fellas going. They bring the ball right across field here, across to Norman, Richie Norman, and Spurs intercept that. The ball is put up to Bobby Smith. Bobby Smith inside now to White. White back through to Smith. Smith taking it right down the line, across the goal, ahead of there, it's in the net! It's in the net! That's a beautiful goal by Dyson. They upset Smith, but that's a beautiful goal. Smith lobbed that right across the whole defence, across to the left wing, and there Bobby Smith, who made the first goal and pushed it in the back of the net, lobbed a beautiful centre over, and Dyson went into it, 8 feet up, son of Ginger Dyson, the jockey, and he slashed it with his head into the net, and now Spurs are 2 up.
And 2-0 it was, the first time the double had been completed since Aston Villa managed it way back in 1897. Well, that year, 1961, was important for another reason, of course. It was the year which saw the end of the maximum wage. £20 a week was the most a player could earn before then. And Fulham, free of red tape, immediately made Johnny Haynes the first £100 a week footballer. The great Tom Finney had retired from the game just a year before. Tough luck, you might think. And yet, years later, he looked back at his playing days with nothing but affection.
I don't think in our day that anybody could say they made a lot of money out of the game, you know, but I thought at the time that we were well paid. I don't think you really bothered about the fact that you were getting 10 or 12 quid a week, and the average fella that was working in the building trade was on £3 a week. I suppose by, you know, comparison standards, you were a hell of a sight better off than he was. I don't think anybody really made big money out of football in those days, because it was a maximum wage. You know, it was £12 when I came out of the forces in '46, and I finished in 1960, and it was £20. So nobody could have made a fortune on those sort of wages. And the reason I think that you know, players didn't move about or want to move about in those days was because, of course, it was a maximum wage. So if you played with Arsenal, you played with Manchester, or you played with Preston, if you were in the first division, invariably you were on top money, and you got the same sort of wages. The nearest I got to leaving Preston was, of course, when I had an offer from an Italian club, Palermo, and we had played in '53 in Italy, and I was approached after by this Italian, and he said, I will offer you £10,000 to sign on for a 2-year contract, you see. And in those days we were earning £14 a week, you know, and he just wouldn't believe me when I said, like, you know, the wages I was on. He said, you are kidding, you are joking. And of course I came back full of this and said, and put it to the club, and I went to see the chairman, and he was called Nathaniel Buck. He's dead and buried now, and he said, well, anyway, what's £10,000? What's £10,000 to you? And I said, well, £10,000 to me is a fortune. And I said, I've got to think that I'm going to be playing another 10 years here to earn that sort of money. But it was quite obvious to me that there was little point in trying to pursue it any further, because in those days that was as far as it went.
And so now it was Tottenham's turn to have a tilt at the European Cup. And they started well. Gornik of Poland fell, so did Feyenoord of Holland and Dukla of Prague, which carried the North London club to the semi-finals, and a date with Benfica of Portugal, the Eagles of Lisbon. The Spurs lost the first leg in Portugal by 3-1, but the return at White Hart Lane was European football at its very best.
Well, the Spurs are still 2 goals in the rear on the aggregate 4-2. Joel Brown takes the kick, puts it upfield. Smith, and I noticed that he was barged there by left half Cruz, who'd come across, leaving Hermano to guard the centre. Although both of them missed it, Hermano was there. Now the ball was whipped out to Greaves. Greaves on the left wing, loses it as it's turned into touch. Spurs ball now, level with Benfica, penalty area over on the far side of the field. A long throw by Mackay. A header in there to White. White's pulled down in the centre of the field. It's a penalty. It's a penalty. Pulled down from behind. White pulled down from behind. No, I don't think it is. It's a free kick against White. No, I think it is a penalty. It's very hard to tell. The referee is pointing away from us, but I think he's moving the Portuguese players out of the penalty area. Yes, it is a penalty for White being pulled down. But he certainly was pulled down. Referee putting the ball on the spot. Blanchflower placing it. Now who will take the penalty? It is a penalty against Benfica.
Blanchefleur, I think, looks as though he's the man who's going to take it. Standing in his goal is Costa Pereira. All the others are outside the area. Blanchard's decided to skipper to come up. He's going to take it. He hits it. It's there! It's there! Blanchard has made it 4-3.
And that was the way of it, with Benfica going on to win the European Cup for the second year running. But Spurs Day would come. As for England, well, they too were now to meet a nation that spoke Portuguese, the great Brazilians. England were the only one of the 4 home countries to qualify for the 1962 World Cup finals in Chile. And, without looking too impressive in their group games, they reached the last 8, with Brazil their next formidable hurdle.
A good tackle there by Wilson, but Garrincha's back with it, slides it forward along the ground, and Norman has to watch for Amarildo, who comes in just like an eel. And Norman this time misses his pass out. Garrincha very nearly got away, but a good tackle back by Norman has put the ball in for a Brazilian throw-in halfway inside, the England half on the far side of the field. England now trailing as they did earlier in the game, 1-2 to the cup holders. A very good header there indeed by Norman, who's been very cool and an absolute rock in England's defence all through this series. Turns the ball away out to Armfield, the right back. He lobs it up towards Hitchens and Douglas, but between them, and so back come Brazil. Brazil in their yellow shirts with their green collars and cuffs. Nice ball through to Amarildo. Amarildo to Garrincha's in the centre of the field. He shoots! It's a goal! A beautiful one! Handspring it absolutely, going all ways. I tell you, this Garrincha, he is the nearest thing to Stanley Matthews, and he can shoot as well. Now listen to the guns going off. "15 minutes play gone then in the second half, and the World Cup holders are now leading England by 3-1. Half-time was 1-1, Garrincha and Hitchens, and in the second half, a splendid opportunist effort by Amarildo from a hard free kick, and then a lovely jinking dribble and a lob into the top left-hand corner of the net by Garrincha. 3 then for Brazil, and only 1 to England. But England are playing, and it's no disgrace to be beaten by a team like Brazil, who once again move into the England half. There's Garrincha, the eel, with it. Turning in past 2 men, past 3 men. It takes 4 England white shirts to bowl him over.
Brazil won by 3-1, and, fulfilling the expectations of most people on earth, they duly retained the World Cup. Jimmy Armfield of England, who was voted one of the best fullbacks in the tournament, watched those great Brazilians, including their wizard of a winger, Garrincha, from close range.
Brazil didn't have Pelé, but they did have Garrincha, and Vava, and Didi, and Zagallo. They had some very good players, the 2 Santoses at full-back. I think they were possibly, man for man, one of the most skillful outfits that they've put out. But Garrincha proved to be the match winner. He was not only a very talented player with the ball, he was a goal scorer as well. And as he came along from 1958, where he first came in Sweden, he was a sensation as a right winger. As he came along in the next few years, he became very skillful at hitting free kicks and getting his head onto far post crosses and getting shots in out of nothing. It was peculiar, really. He seemed to have a limp. People said he had one leg shorter than the other, and he'd come out of the back streets of Rio. And of course, when he died, he died in a rather sorrowful way as well. But he was slightly hunched in the shoulders, very quick over about 5 yards. I would compare him with Matthews over 5 yards, who I always thought was one of the quickest players I've ever seen. And Garrincha, though, could stand somebody still, and then he'd be off, and he never gave the defender a chance for a second bite at it. Once he went, that was it.
Spurs, meanwhile, having retained the FA Cup in 1962, had the European Cup Winners' Cup in their sights. And this time, by way of Glasgow Rangers, Slovan Bratislava and OFK Belgrade, they went all the way to the final in Rotterdam. Their opponents were Atletico Madrid, and Spurs had fun.
Spurs still lead by 3-1. Greaves, White and Dyson. 1 from the penalty spot for Madrid. And now Spurs, Dyson. Dyson trying to turn it inside. It doesn't reach Smith. It's intercepted. The ball is cleared back to the keeper, and he throws upfield to try and get Madrid moving. That's a wild clearance there from Norman, helped on its way by the left full-back. Henry for Spurs. One or two of the Spurs players seem to be just limping a little bit at this stage. Little Dyson had trouble with an ankle. White is limping, and Ron Henry, I think, is limping just a bit. Now a through ball for Jones, but he doesn't meet it. Well, he tried to meet it, but two of the Madrid defenders came back rather smartish, intercepted, and the ball is cleared upfield. But now the Spurs seem to be much more in possession. They're using the ball with much more thought than they did in the first period of this half. And of course, with 3 goals at the backing, they might well. Jones on the inside now. White on the outside of him. Down goes Jones again. Yes, and I think he will get the free kick, although it didn't look that particularly vicious that time. But the Spurs get a free kick just outside the penalty area. Referee Van Leuven from Holland sending the Atletico Madrid players back 10 yards. Blanchflower and Greaves hovering over the ball at the moment. Blanchflower tapping it sideways to Smith, who puts in a first-time shot, but right into the ruck of Madrid defenders, and the ball's clear. Little Dyson gets it across, and Greaves turns it there, and it's number 4 for Spurs from Greaves. But Greaves, Toole, White and Dyson have put the Spurs very much on top. They got well on top in the first half, faded away a little at the start of the second, but have now come right back in possession, and they're keeping possession of this ball and giving the forwards of Madrid absolutely no chance at all in which to move it. And now the attack of Madrid's trying to get going, but there, racing back is Marquis again. Just takes the ball neatly from one of the forwards, waits for the return pass, clears the ball upfield, and the Spurs come away again. Down to the right is Bobby Smith, signalling for him to go straight through. It's Dyson who's going to shoot, and it's there. Oh, a great goal by little Dyson. Bobby Smith indicated to him, go on your own, and Dyson did, and with a left foot shot has made it number 5.
And 5-1 it was, perhaps Tottenham's finest hour and a half. The first British club to win a major European trophy. Commentators, Alan Clark, of course, and Brian Moore. Manchester United, for their part, were still rebuilding after Munich. They brought the brilliant Denis Law back from Torino in Italy for £115,000, a British record. And an imp of an Irishman called George Best was beginning to hit the headlines, not always for what he did on the pitch. Their side was taking shape, and in 1963, they were back at Wembley.
So that's a goal kick to Leicester, and for a moment the roars around this now covered Wembley Stadium cease, and spectators take a breather to the players while Banks takes a short goal kick, gets the ball back to hand, kicks from hand right up towards the right wing here. Noah Cantwell, Manchester United skipper, is there, up through to Charlton. Charlton stabbing it back to Setters, Setters back to Cantwell. Cantwell coming up and attacking out the left wing. Charlton cutting in. His fullback still outside, but Cantwell and Charlton decide to put it up there until Charlton races in on a loose ball there that really had the Leicester defenders in order, and a brilliant save by Banks. And now here comes Pat Curran, putting it now through to Denis Law, and he scored! And Law has scored! Well, one moment of slackness, and Manchester United are leading by 1 goal to nothing. Throw-in now to Leicester, level with their opponent's penalty area. Throw-in taken by Keyworth, Springfellow going in there. Oh, it's a tremendous high kick. It's almost up on this newly erected roof here at the stand. Clearance by folks right up in the air. Another throw-in by Leicester in the same place, comes through to their left back, Norman right across field. Keyworth trying to bring it away out to Riley. Riley's got it. Riley now going past 2 men now, and Charlton comes back and tackles him. Charlton, defensive way, turns the ball to touch on the other side of the field in roughly the same position. And now away goes McClintock, a very clever throw in. McClintock turned inside now. Can Gibson do it? McClintock right across the goal. And this time Gastel gets it very neatly indeed. Picks it very cleanly out of the air. Saving the day for United. Score still Leicester 0, Manchester 1. And away upfield to Giles. Giles out there to Charlton. Charlton's completely unmarked. Cutting into the edge of the penalty area. Blasts one. And it's there! It's there! Off third! The goalkeeper got his hands to it, but he couldn't stop it.
made the penalty. They left that wide open, a long cross to Charlton. He toasted on the penalty area, drove in a pile driver which Banks could only divert, and Hurd was right up to slam it straight into the net. So that's Hurd now in the 12th minute of the second half. Leicester City 0, Manchester United 2.
Goal kick then to Manchester United, and as you can tell from the crowd here, they seem to think that it's pretty well settled, and certainly the pace of the game has dropped and the tension has gone. But Manchester holding on to the ball, and there Gaskell is penalised for not bouncing the ball in 4 steps. That's an indirect free kick about 2 or 3 yards inside the penalty area. He was trying to be too clever. So both keepers have been guilty of elementary fouls. Referee is now pacing out his 10 yards, and he's whistling back the United red bank of defenders until they are 10 yards off. Law doesn't feel he wants to go there, but Colin Appleton is telling them now, do get back and do what the referee tells you. Still, we're just waiting. Law is spoken to by the referee, and we're just waiting now. It's a very quick tap, and what's happened? Once again, Manchester United were not 10 yards off the ball. The kick will be retaken. It'll be a very quick one, taken by Gibson to the right half. McClintock, back to Gibson, back to Keyworth, this time left back. Norman tries to get a bang, but that red wall of Manchester stands firm. Scores still Manchester United 2, Leicester City 0. And now Leicester moving forward with a nice one there through to Gibson. Gibson back through to Appleton. And once again, there is the appeal for a penalty. No, good header! He's there! It's a goal by Keyworth as it ricocheted off a red Manchester United wall. He flung himself level with the ground and has made it 2-1.
But with David Hurd scoring a second, United won by 3-1, and the Reds were on the march again. And in a period of change and hardening ambition, few lines in the record book were safe. And in that same year, 1964, Howard Kendall became the youngest ever cup finalist when he played for 2nd Division Preston North End against West Ham United, still 20 days short of his 18th birthday.
Kendall pushes it back to Ross, up into the West Ham penalty area. Ashworth, first time shot past the post, took it on the turn there, and West Ham defenders there were certainly slow. They gave Ashworth a wonderful chance, had to take it smartly on the turn, which he did, and the ball went crashing past the post for the goal kick to West Ham, which Stander will take for them. Well, we're after time. After the 45 minutes on our watch, so this is injury time we're playing at the moment as West Ham move into the attack. 2 goals each at the moment. Hurst onto the ball. He won't get a shot in, but he does part with the ball to the right wing to Braybrook. Braybrook right across the header there, and it's there! It's a goal to West Ham! Flying header there by Boyce has made it 3-2 for West Ham. And Bond, the right fullback, down in front of us, went down on his hands and knees and thumped at the turf in sheer enjoyment, or whatever you like to say about it. And he's looking at the trainer's bench now, and they're telling him that there can only be a minute or so to go. There it is, West Ham then 3. Boyce the scorer in injury time here at Wembley. West Ham United 3, Preston North End 2. As Preston now with Smith trying along one up through the middle, and Ashworth racing through, and it's brought down. It's a penalty, I think. It's a penalty as Ashworth is brought down. No, it's not. It's a free kick right on the edge of the area.
A dramatic finish and heartbreak for young Kendall. But for West Ham's stylish left winger John Sissons, the joy of a winner's medal, and at the age of 18, the distinction of becoming the youngest scorer in an FA Cup final. Though since then, of course, both Kendall and Sissons have lost their records. Norman Whiteside of Manchester United became the youngest scorer in an FA Cup final in 1983, 18 years, 19 days, and Paul Allen of West Ham became the youngest finalist in 1980, age just 17 years and 256 days. Allen, a member of a renowned football family, though not quite in the same bracket as the Charlton brothers, Jack and Bobby, who, when they played against Scotland at Wembley in 1965, became the first brothers to appear together for England in a full international this century. And they celebrated appropriately.
Throw into England, which Greaves is going to take. Byrne going up there, waiting for the throw, gets it. Turns back a yard or so, loses the ball. So it's possession to Creran now. Creran trying to flick it through. Stopped there by Jackie Charlton. The centre-half to Bobby. And now Bobby's got a chance to shoot. He does, and it's there! It's a big goal by Bobby Charlton. 25 minutes gone of the first half, and England are one up. Bobby Charlton, after a very fine defensive move from his brother Jackie Charlton, the centre-half, gave Bobby Charlton the chance to shoot from outside the penalty, which he did. Bill Brown dived, tried to punch, failed to get to the ball, and if he even touched it, it was well on its way to the corner of the net. So there it is, England lead by 1-0. Goal scored by outside left Bobby Charlton after 25 minutes.
Ball coming to Collins. Baker goes again to Craig. Craig covering up very well, gives the ball to Law. Law coming over the halfway line, holding it, getting it out to Collins, who's now in the inside left position. Collins turning around, slowing the pace down, gives it back to Law. Not a good pass. Comes back to St. John. St. John puts it over. There's Wilson coming in. A nice dummy. He leaves Cohen going the wrong way. It comes across. Law trying to get it in. Stiles heads it out. And Banks gathers the ball on the 6 yards line and throws it out to Charlton, his outside left. Well, that was a little bit better by Scotland, but Charlton's taking the ball through. He beats Collins, comes through the halfway line, puts it through beautifully. Greaves sees it coming in. He's going to score. And he does, and Greaves has scored. Greaves hit the right-hand post after 35 minutes. A beautiful run through the middle. Brown came out. The ball hit Brown's right-hand post, paused for just a minute, and then shot into the back of the net to make it England 2, Scotland 0. And since the opening 15 minutes, England are a much better team than Scotland.
Yet the final score was England 2, Scotland 2. Scotland's goals from Denis Law and Ian St. John. The cup finalists that year were Leeds United and Liverpool, and an epic struggle it proved to be. Both clubs were rising fast after years of underachieving. Liverpool led by the irrepressible Bill Shankly, Leeds by the hugely professional Don Revie, soon to be recognised as two of football's outstanding managers. They demanded the best.
8 minutes of extra time gone. So we've got 7 minutes of this first period of extra time, followed by 15 minutes of the second period, making 22 minutes in which Leeds have got to pull back this goal scored after 3 minutes of extra time by Roger Hunt for Liverpool. Liverpool leading by 1-0, and here they come again. Thompson, outside left. You'll never walk alone, sing the crowd to our right. This great Liverpool war cry as Tom Smith finds Hunt, the scorer of the goal. Hunt forging his way forward towards the Leeds penalty area again, now dribbling away from it, trying to find another way through, and gives the ball to Callaghan instead. Perhaps Callaghan can do something with it on the edge of the box there, bringing it over onto his left foot, slipping it back again to Smith. Smith clipping it into the box there to St. John, finding the head of St. John, but Charlton heading away, but only to St. John again. A first-time shot well wide. Well wide. Nearer the corner flag than the goal. Well, it's going to need a side of great dig themselves out of this this quite desperate situation, because Leeds are weary and footsore, and now surely utterly down, with Storey virtually a passenger, now limping over on the far touchline. And really it's going to need a monumental effort if they're to pull this one back now. They're losing by 1-0. Yates in possession down by the corner flag, finding Thompson with a neat little piece of defensive play there. Thompson inside to Strong. Strong across the field to Callaghan. What a great match this will be for Strong, coming in virtually at the last moment to find himself not only with a cup final appearance but with a cup winners medal as well, in place of poor Gordon Milne. Callaghan over on the far touchline now, closely watched by Bell, but he sneaks it past Bell to try to get Hunt away, but Giles a little too quick for him, pushing it forward to Peacock. Peacock to Collins. Collins, you must do something now. Finding Storey limping over on the far side. All Storey can do is stab it back to Johnny Giles. Giles to Peacock. Peacock now to Hunter.
Leeds looking a little more promising. Hunter clipping one in. Charlton going well up there. And there's a chance for Bremner. First time shot. A goal! And what a great goal that was by little Bremner. Charlton having gone right into the attack, clipping one across to him. Bremner hitting it first time past Lawrence. The play in progress again, and now it's Yorkshire's turn to find their voices. Here comes Collins. The match is not lost yet. Here go Leeds again with Bremner streaking through, but it's headed away by Jerry Byrne to Smith for Liverpool. 1-1. Leeds 1, Liverpool 1, and now, my friends, we see the other side of the coin, because it's Don Revie's turn to cheer from the touchline. Bill Shankly's turn to look disappointed. But here come Liverpool again, through St John, through to Hunt. Hunt trying to get his shot in, but the ball moving too quickly away from him, and all he can do is poke it into the side netting. 1-1. Goal kick quickly taken by Gary Sprague to Johansson. What a great effort by Leeds. When I thought they were down and I thought they were out, they came back, and this is the sort of thing they've been doing the whole season, confounding the critics at every twist and turn.
5.5, nearly 6 minutes gone of the second period of extra time. 1 goal each. Hunt for Liverpool, Bremner for Leeds. Goal kick by Sprague. Headed on by Peacock. Headed back again upfield for Liverpool by Ron Yeats. Stevenson, Hunt. Hunter wing up Peter Thompson. Thompson along the turf here at Wembley to Smith. Smith to Callaghan. And now it's Liverpool moving smoothly into the attack. If Callaghan can turn it, he darts it ahead. It's a goal! St John. Six and a half minutes gone of the second period of extra time, and Liverpool lead by 2 goals to 1. A well-taken goal by St John after a very fine move by most of the Liverpool forwards. A very smooth move along the lush turf here at Wembley, and so Liverpool lead by 2 goals to 1.
And that was it, a mighty collision, and Liverpool's cup for the first time. Shankly and Revie were to clash again many times in the next decade. Tough men in one of the toughest leagues in the world. But other managers left their mark on the period as well, among them Ron Greenwood of West Ham, for whom football was as much an art as a science. And their quality paid off. In the 1965 Cup moved smoothly through to the final, and their opponents were Munich 1860 of West Germany. The stage, Wembley Stadium.
West Ham in possession again now. Ken Brown slinging one long way through the middle there to Deere. Deere to Hurst. Hurst with Burkitt racing up outside him. Slings it forward for Burkitt. Burkitt beats the fullback. Will he have time to get it across right-footed? He will, but it was low and cleared quite easily and competently by Munich. Munich coming away again. I thought, if anything, Munich looking slightly the more resilient side in this second half, though goodness knows West Ham have had their chances as well. Boyce now. Back to Jack Burkitt. Forward to Jeff Hurst now for West Ham, the centre forward. Hurst looking for a man, decides to sling one over left-footed, but he finds Boehner. He didn't mean to do that, but the ball bounces off Boehner, fortunately, to Grosser, his inside left, who is tricking West Ham players left, right and centre now, and then slings a good pass there for... Oh, but the left half missed it, and it's Boyce coming through for West Ham. A chance here for Seeley inside the box. Can he get in a shot? It's a goal! A goal for West Ham! So West Ham are a goal ahead through Seeley. 24 minutes of the second half. A mistake by the German left half, Lutrop, gave Seeley his chance, and from a narrow angle he fairly belted the ball into the Munich net. West Ham 1, Munich 0. Now Munich really have got to do something. Heiss there, outside right in possession now, well tackled by Burkitt to Sissons, who's come back, but Sissons is tackled in turn by Heiss, and the ball goes into touch. Just as I said, I thought Munich were looking the more resilient. This is West Ham, the big occasion team, and away they go again through Deere. Can Deere get to it first? He takes it past the goalkeeper, but he's pulled down. Free kick to West Ham just outside the Munich penalty area then. And so this match boils over again. Radenkovic pulling down Deer as he raced through outside the box. And a free kick to West Ham. Some of the most cunning free kick takers, these West Ham boys. I wonder what they've got up their sleeves now. West Ham, that brilliant goal ahead by Alan Seeley, and now looking for another one. Here comes Hurst, who runs over the ball. It goes to Boyce, to Moore. Moore clipping it forward to a head. And it's a goal! Another goal for West Ham!
Alan Seeley's pair was enough. West Ham, a pleasure to watch. And now, too, Matt Busby's second outstanding Manchester United team was reaching blossom time. Once more, as league champions, they set their sights on the European Cup in 1965-66. And in the quarter-finals, they ran into Benfica. United won the first leg at Old Trafford, but only by 3-2, a precarious lead to take to Portugal.
A tremendous night for Manchester United. Their finest hour, surely, and a credit to British football here in Benfica, in Lisbon tonight against Benfica. 4 times they've reached the European Cup final, twice they've won it, and now they've met their match here in this magnificent stadium, the Stadium of Light here in Lisbon. Goal kick to Benfica, quickly taken by Costa Pereira. And this, remember, is the basis of Portugal's World Cup side. It's not just a club side that Manchester United are beating here tonight. It is virtually the nucleus of Portugal's World Cup side. And here come Benfica again. Torres to Coluna, who's taken up an attacking role now in one last desperate attempt, presumably to make some impact on this Manchester United defence, but he won't do it like that. A bad pass going straight to the feet of Tony Dunn. Dunn, a short ball to Law. Law down on the touchline beneath us now with Dunn inside him, and in fact he finds a very good ball in the centre circle to Canelli. Now there's Canelli streaking now towards the penalty area again, trying to find Hurd, but in fact the Benfica defence were covering up well on that particular occasion, and it's Cruz who pushes the ball back to Costa Pereira. A long ball there by Costa Pereira. 4 Manchester United players going for it. Styles, one of them, of course, and it's Styles snuffing out Eusebio again, setting the ball to Law, who slips up, but the ball goes into touch before a Benfica player can get to it. Simoes taking the throw in to Coluna. Coluna being challenged there by Bobby Charlton, pushing the ball back to Shea Brennan, who hits the ball hard into the centre circle. Germano there, the general at the rear, trying to get things going, trying to get things moving, pushing a short ball out to his right, a long one there, finding Eusebio, but Eusebio tackled very well indeed again there by Crerand. Pushed the ball into touch over on the far side. Throw into Benfica, someone trying a long one in the gloom on the far side there. There's Greg going out of his goal, punching brilliantly away there to save Manchester United on that occasion. A long one forward. Hurd now the only player up in an attacking position, but here's Law coming out to help him. Law taking that pass and taking it well. Hurd running into a beautiful position, and he's not offside. He's taking it towards the penalty area. Will he get a shot? And he does, but not enough power behind it. Costa Pereira goes down once more on his line. Quarter of an hour to go. 30 minutes of this second half gone. Manchester United still leading by 3-1. Brennan getting the better of a Benfica forward there. Short one to Law. Law to Crerand. A little bit of arrogance again here in centre circle, playing at half pace, keeping the ball to themselves, to Best over on the far side. Best to Canelli. Canelli coming forward again. Challenged there by Cavam, and a very good tackle by Cavam, but not quite good enough because Canelli stayed on his feet and then pushed a short one to Best. Back it comes to Canelli again. Back it goes to Best. This is how well United are playing. There's Best in position again. To Canelli over on the far side. Tony Dunn coming right up, but Dunn fractionally offside there. The linesman's flag going up again. Benfica now desperate, as indeed they must be, with something like 14 minutes left. 3-1 down in this match. United 2 goals up then, added to the one that they brought with them after the first leg in Old Trafford. 3 goals up with 14 minutes left to play. A magnificent night for Manchester United. You cannot repeat this often enough when you consider the scalps that are under Benfica's belt here. Spurs amongst them in 1962, Real Madrid last year by 5-1. There's Eusebio, but his shadow Styles is there again. And Styles happy enough to give away a corner there to save a dangerous little moment for Manchester United. As I was saying, Real Madrid came here last year. They were beaten 5-1 by Benfica. But Benfica have been well and truly humbled here tonight by Manchester United. They're getting a corner over on the far side now. Here it comes, the white ball glistening into the penalty area there. Simoes going for it, trying a shot on the turn, just over the bar though, with Greg watching it all the way. Have no fears, Manchester. Greg watched that one. He saw it from the moment it left Simoes' boot and watched it go over the crossbar. Manchester United 3, Benfica 1. Greg to take the goal kick now. Manchester United composed and now poised surely to go into the semi-finals of the European Cup as Greg takes this goal kick high into the centre circle. Bobby Charlton now picking it up with Dunn outside him, Kennelly outside him, and he releases it to Law, who's outside him. Law, long one forward, there's Cleland going for it. Can he get to it? A shot, and by goodness, he scored! Another goal to Manchester United, scored by Cleland. How appropriate that was. Cleland, who's run himself into the earth here, both in attack and defence, taking that beautiful ball just inside the penalty area, slipping it past Costa Pereira, the final crushing blow for a silent crowd here at the Stadium of Light.
3 minutes left to play, and Manchester United leading by 4 goals to 1 from here into the semi-finals of the European Cup. Cleland offside, I think, or he overran the ball. I think so. It's a goal kick which Benfica's fullback will take. Pereira still standing on his lying hands on hips, and here comes the ball from the goal kick, headed back by Folkes to Charlton. Charlton down in front of us to Law. Now Manchester United can afford, I think, to walk this, although they're running every yard. And Charlton through, Charlton again, can he shoot? He dribbles past the goalkeeper almost, and it's there! Charlton, another fine goal indeed.
Surprisingly, they lost to Partizan of Belgrade in the semi-finals, though looking ahead, their moment was soon to come. 2 years later, in 1968, they beat Benfica, still redoubtable opponents, by 4-1 in the final at Wembley. A night of wonderful emotion, just 10 years after the Munich air disaster. Bobby Charlton, who figured in both, compares the Busby Babes, pre-Munich, and the side that Busby built afterwards.
They were right at the start of their careers in lots of cases, and some of them just coming to the peak of their career. Tommy Taylor, David Pegg, Johnny Berry, Roger Byrne, and young players like Duncan Edwards, who was really on the threshold of probably the greatest international career that any English player would ever have. He was unquestionably the most gifted all-round player that I've ever seen. And the mere fact that he was nearly an automatic choice for England when he was 17. Not a care in the world, never doubted his ability, never thought that he was anything other than the best. And people like that who suddenly nobody was going to see again. I mean, it was really a tragedy of all tragedies. I think the 1958 team before the accident was the strongest team that I've ever played with. I think definitely the strongest team and the most difficult to beat. At its peak, when your George Best and your Dennis Law were really on song, it was a pleasure, you know. I mean, it was a fantastic pleasure. But it was very fragile. We could win 5 one day, you know, and then lose 5 the next. No, the strongest team I ever played, the strongest and the most difficult team, was the 1958 team.
Well, that was Bobby Charlton, and Dennis Law, never short of an opinion, had an interesting theory about his old teammate.
Bobby Charlton, of course, started off as outside left, and out outside left, and it was, I don't know whether it was Ramsey or Busby who played him in midfield, but with his tremendous speed off the mark, I felt that Bobby Charlton was wasted by playing in midfield. I thought he was far, far more dangerous for the opposition if he was on the wing, because apart from his tremendous space, his ball control, he had a great shot as well. And of course, this is why we scored so many goals, in particular from David Hurd, who also had a tremendous shot. And the keeper invariably didn't hold them, and therefore there was other players coming in like George Best and myself to pick up the crumbs. And I feel that Bobby Charlton could have done far, far better in the penalty area had he been playing on the wing. And I think the team would have scored a lot more goals.
The 1966 FA Cup final threatened to be overshadowed by the impending World Cup, to be held in England for the first time. But Everton and Sheffield Wednesday provided a match which, for drama and quality, was a little classic.
Gabriel now trying to slip it forward, but stopped by McCalliog. McCalliog to Quinn. Quinn forward trying to get Phantom away, but Wright and Everton covering well there. Wright slipping it round towards the corner flag, and then a long one forward to the head of Alex Young. Young trying to get Trebilco away. Trebilco, an overhead kick there, but that's headed away for Sheffield Wednesday by Jerry Young. Now down beneath us to Quinn. Quinn back to Mixon, his fullback. Mixon a long searching one forward, but he'll find no one, only LeBone. And there's LeBone, who rather idly lets the ball run out of touch. Into touch. A throw in now, almost opposite the Everton penalty area to Sheffield Wednesday. Throw in to Sheffield Wednesday, which Eustace will take. Eustace seems to have taken this role of flitting across the pitch in midfield. Forward now, a shot from forward, a shot, a goal! A goal for Sheffield Wednesday! Out of the blue! A goal by McCallion!
David Ford put Wednesday 2 up early in the second half, and Wednesday looked home and dry. But a strong and squat Cornishman called Mike Trebilco, a late Everton selection, pulled one back in less than 60 seconds, and he equalised just over 10 minutes later.
Right, now sending Scott away, but Scott's got Mixon with him, and he's got Young there to support him. It's Young who puts the ball into touch for Sheffield Wednesday. A throw in to Everton, right down now by the corner flag on the far side, opposite the Sheffield Wednesday penalty area, taken by Alex Scott. Back it comes to his fullback, Tommy Wright, but that one's cut out quite easily by Quinn, who'd come back to help his defence. Quinn to Phantom for Sheffield Wednesday. Phantom moving the ball forward to Quinn down the far touchline. Quinn watched by Harvey, but he slips it to Phantom before Harvey can do anything about it. Phantom coming forward with McCalliog beside him. He slips it across the penalty area there where Ford can get a shot in? No, because it bounces to Harris, and Harris very coolly back to his goalkeeper West. West underarm to fullback Wright. No, it's Harvey who's gone right back to help the defence. A long one forward by Harvey, and a terrible mess there. And here's Temple streaking through. Is this the third one? A shot by Temple. A goal! A beautiful goal for Everton by Temple. 3-2. Certainly there's a tremendous amount of noise coming from behind that Everton goal now, as Everton sweeping to a 3-2 lead. After 57 minutes of this match, they were 2-0 down. And now with 15 minutes to go, they are 3-2 up. I doubt it for Wembley Cup final. Oh yes, the 1953 Cup final with Stanley Matthews. But certainly for a comeback, this ranks with that. A magnificent comeback by Everton. No praise is too much for the way they fought back here this afternoon. A tremendous comeback. And now the onus is well and truly on Sheffield Wednesday. Poor Jerry Young, the left half for Sheffield Wednesday, who made such a hash of that one in midfield that left Temple streaking away to put Everton 3-2 in the lead. And we've got singing, we've got chanting, we've got cheering and everything else from behind that Everton goal now as Everton sweep away again. Alex Young through to Trebilco. Can he get a shot in? He can't because the whistle is gone. The whistle is gone.
And that's the way it ended, 3-2 to Everton. And so to the summer of 1966. England, the World Cup hosts, a distinction and a challenge for which the home of organised football had been preparing and plotting for nearly 6 years. Alf Ramsey, England's manager and a man of carefully defined principles and undentable will, predicted that his players would win the Jules Rimet Trophy. And many critics looked forward with relish to the moment when they could say he was wrong. And indeed, unconvincing displays at Wembley against Uruguay, Mexico and France, followed by the controversial dropping of Jimmy Greaves, England's leading scorer, for the inexperienced Geoff Hurst of West Ham, did little to inspire confidence. But England were through to the quarter-finals, and at Wembley once more, their opponents were Argentina, a high-octane side of talent and temper.
Here comes Bobby Moore now for England. England finding it very difficult indeed to make very much impression on this Argentinian defence, and certainly you can't make much impression on Ratin, who has just pulled Hurst down, and Mr. Kreitlein is having nothing to do with Ratin's protestations that it was in fact Hurst who was the guilty party, and the upshot of it all is it's a free kick to England. Quickly taken by Ray Wilson. Forward to Bobby Moore. Moore forward to Hunt, but Hunt is tripped there. Badly tripped there on the edge of the penalty area by Perfumo. And Hunt must have said something to Perfumo. I don't know whether he understands English or not, because he rounded on Hunt there. And for a moment I thought we were going to have another tricky little situation. But certainly it's going to be a tricky little situation here for Argentina, with a free kick right on their own penalty area to England. With 35 minutes of this quarter-final at Wembley gone. England 0, Argentina 0, and it looks as though Mr. Kreitlein, the West German referee, is having a pretty severe word with one or two of these Argentinian defenders. I can't see whether he's got a notebook out or not, I don't know. But now the Argentinians are lining up, all except one of them, who was no more than a yard off the ball. But Charlton shoots past the post. And indeed, and quite rightly so, Mr. Kreitlein, the referee, is now taking the name of Artemi, who was standing not 1 yard away from that ball and refusing to move when that free kick was taken. So several names have gone into this book. I'm rather losing track of them, and now he's having a word with Ratin, and I think he's ordering Ratin off. I believe he's ordering Ratin, the Argentinian captain, off the field. Well, this will be a bolt from the blue. Certainly a moment ago, Ratin charged Bobby Charlton and had his name taken. He clearly must have said something else, and now he's being ordered off the field, I believe. The crowd are cheering. There is utter confusion here. Clearly there must be language difficulties, but by the way Mr. Kreitlein, the referee, pointed to the touchline, there was no doubt in my mind that he was ordering Ratin off. But now what's happening? Another player's coming off. And Lorenzo, the Argentinian coach, is going on to try and sort it out. They're all coming off. I have never seen anything like this in a football match in my life. All the Argentinians are coming off the field, and there is no way of knowing what on earth is happening. The England players are standing there. Some of the Argentinians are walking back. Has he possibly abandoned the match? This is conceivable. Or is he just ordering Ratin off, and the Argentinians are saying, if he goes, we go? The crowd are as perplexed as everyone else. England players are standing on the pitch there with their arms on their hips, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4 Argentinian players already off the pitch, and 2 or 3 of them arguing vehemently there with the German referee, Mr. Kreitlein. But it looks very much to me as though someone has been sent off, and I would have thought it was Ratin. Ratin is making to walk back on the pitch again, and now Mr. Kreitlein, the referee, is saying, off you go. Good heavens, and now beneath me there are 3 or 4 Argentinian players dousing their heads in a bucket of water. This match is in grave danger, I fear, of getting completely out of hand. Slow hand clap from the crowd. The England players are standing in the middle there. Gordon Banks, I see, is urging Bobby Moore, the skipper, to go in and do something about it. But Moore, quite rightly, I'm sure, is saying, leave it to the referee. Relax. And now Mr. Kreitlein, this rather small, balding German referee, is trying to make some order out of utter chaos beneath us.
The hold-up lasted nearly 8 minutes, and when the game restarted, Argentina were down to 10 men. Mr. Ratin was absent, sent off by the West German referee Rudolf Kreitlein. Order prevailed, but only shakily.
It's Ball coming away now for England. Ball with Bobby Moore outside him. Oh, and Ball is tripped there outside the box there by Solari. This will be a free kick now to England. 15 minutes to go. Still Russia 2, Hungary 1 up there at Roker Park, and still England 0, Argentina 0 here as Bobby Moore takes this free kick to Ray Wilson, lofting it into the penalty area there, but no one can make anything of it, and it's the Argentinians coming away. Onega trying a long ball to try and get Maus going, and there's Artemi racing there. Or is it? No, it's Solari racing for it as hard as he can go, but Cohen is racing just that little bit harder, and Cohen deliberately pulled back by the Argentinian there. What is football all about? Deliberately pulling his arms as Cohen went past him, but it's a free kick, quickly taken by Cohen, back to Banks, onto the far side now to Bobby Moore. Quarter of an hour to go. Moore coming forward now to Martin Peters. Peters trying to trick his man, but he can't trick him because Gonzalez is a little too quick for him. Gonzalez gives away a corner. Ball wrestling the ball from his hands before it's taken back to Alan Clark.
A corner to England, then Ball taking the short one to Martin Peters. Peters trying to turn it inside, but only puts it straight to the boot of Gonzalez again, who turned it into touch. All right, hit an England player there, so this will be a throw-in which Ferreira will take. Look in to see whether he can throw it back to his keeper. No, he gets a free kick out of it. By some means or other, I can't quite understand what Mr. Kreitlein was thinking about just then, but it's a free kick to Argentina, which they take into touch on the England left. Thrown down by Ray Wilson to Ball. Back to Wilson. Wilson through to Peters now. Can Peters float this one across? He does. Up go the head to the header by Hurst, and it's there! Hurst, a great header!
Geoff Hurst vindicating Ramsey's judgment with the only goal of the match. And so the battle lines for the semi-finals were established. West Germany against the Soviet Union at Goodison Park, a poor game which the Germans won by 2-1, and England against Portugal at Wembley. Portugal a side with a brilliant attack, including Eusebio, the European Footballer of the Year.
As away come the Portuguese again, through Gracia, a long one forward, hoping to find Augusta, but Jack Charlton bends low to head that one away to Ray Wilson. Wilson inside to Styles, good organised defence here by England, to Ball inside to Bobby Moore. Moore there, he'll put it across to Cohen, he does. Cohen, and now here's Cohen, this Fulham fullback, going up the right touchline again. A long one forward for Hurst to chase. Will Hurst get past his man? He's got the power. Will he get it in? No, he's delayed. He pushes it back to Bobby Charlton. A shot by Charlton. A goal! A magnificent goal by Bobby Charlton. 2-0 to England. It really brings tears to your eyes to see this England side fighting and playing so well, so maligned by so many people in the months leading up to this World Cup, and now really just 10 minutes or so from surely their first appearance in the World Cup final. Portugal are not giving up though, and here's Gracia coming away inside to Simoes. You must never underestimate the fighting powers of this Portuguese side, but England 2-0, precious 2 goals in the lead as Simoes throws to go past Peters, but he can't get past Peters. Back to Wilson it comes, back to this hero, Bobby Charlton, scorer of both these England goals. And there's Charlton, another beautiful move by him, beating not one, not two, and then giving it, unfortunately, to Torres on the far side for Portugal. Bobby blotted his copybook there, we'll spare him that one. Out to Torres on the far side though, Torres putting the ball in, but there's Bobby Charlton redeeming himself by taking it on his chest, getting a roar of applause from this excited Wembley crowd as he pushes it downfield off the Geoff Hurst, off a Portuguese defender, then into touch inside the English half to be taken by Martin Peters. 9 minutes to go, the scoreboard says England 2, Portugal 0, and here's Alan Clark.
Thank you, Brian. I'm going to say great England side, although they suffered a bit for the first 10 minutes of this second half. How well they've been playing tonight. In defence, in the forward line, but it's Portugal at the moment, with the ball, trying to move it down the middle. Augusta with the ball inside to Eusebio, but the ball's been bounced off him. Down to this wing to Simoes, who tries a long lob, across the face of the goal. Banks goes up ahead of there. Handball, penalty, taken down by Jackie Charlton. It beat Gordon Banks. This will be a penalty to Portugal, and surely Eusebio will take it. He scored 2 last Saturday against the Koreans. From the penalty spot, Jackie Charlton with Banks out of his goal there. Jackie decided the only thing to do was to hook it from underneath the bar, and here it comes. 8 minutes left to play. Eusebio having a word now with Kaluna. Gordon Banks astride on his line. Here comes Eusebio, and it's there.
But England stoically survived those last 8 painful minutes. They'd reached the final, and up in the stands was a lady from the northeast, much loved and respected, Cissy Charlton, mother of Jack and Bobby. She described her feelings as Bobby's second and spectacular goal hit the back of the net.
To tell you the truth, I had a pile of programmes that I was bringing for the bands at home. I had a pile of these coloured papers, you know, that they said. I had an orange drink here for half time. I had a box of chocolates I had given to me off a man. A box of toffees another man had given me. I had to put all them down before I could clap. And it was really funny. But when I stood up, it was a marvellous sight to see the Portugal player shaking his hand. Something you don't see these days. It was really terrific.
One game, then, was all that stood between England and the championship of the world and the fulfilment of Ramsey's promise. What a day it was. Saturday, the 30th of July, 1966. The final of the 8th World Cup. England against West Germany. A side that was talented and battle-hardened. Wembley awash with colour and noise and optimism. The first real roar of an afternoon of sunshine and showers, though, was undoubtedly German. Helmut Haller gave West Germany an early lead. But just 6 minutes later, West Ham fashioned an equaliser. Bobby Moore to Geoff Hurst, a deft header, and it was 1-1. And it stayed that way until less than 15 minutes of normal time remained.
England are playing with so much more menace now. as Ball prepares to take this corner as the Union Jacks are waving. There he goes with the corner. Jack Charlton up there with his header, but it comes through to Hurst. Will Hurst get a shot in? He does, but it cannons off another forward. This must be the goal. It's a goal by Peters. A goal for England. "33 minutes gone of the second half, and England 2-1 in the lead in this World Cup final. And Wembley is just a mass of waving Union Jacks. But it's Germany in possession on the edge of the England penalty area. The ball canning in off Nobby Stiles as Snellinger tries to put it in. Peters, the scorer for England. Back to Snellinger it comes, but the Germans are the most dangerous side in this competition. They never know when they're beaten. They're magnificent competitors. Someone must have been offside there. It's a free kick to England. The singing has begun at Wembley. England with 11 minutes left, leading by 2-1.
1.5 minutes on the watch, left to play. England 2, Germany 1. The World Cup of 1966 almost in the hands of Bobby Moore, the skipper. But a minute to go. And the ball inside the England half, but Stiles this time. Oh, it's a free kick given against England again. The referee gives it against England. This will be a free kick to Germany. And despite the protest from the England players, I must admit they're not making it too firmly. Nobody wants to be sent off at this stage. All the players lining up now to form the wall. The referee pacing out the 10 yards. It's Emmerich to take it. Up goes the tall Snellinger into the penalty. Emmerich trying a first-time shot. Almost goes through a right. Held it there. And it's not there yet. It could be handball. No, the referee gives it. It's a goal. Faber for Germany has made it 2 each.
I wasn't waiting for the final whistle. I just thought, when we scored the second goal and we were 2-1 in front, I couldn't see the Germans scoring, and I remember saying to Nobby Stiles, we've won it, we've won it. We couldn't believe, we thought it was over then, and of course when they scored the equaliser in the last minute of the ordinary time period, it wasn't a good goal. We thought that it hadn't been a foul in the first place from which the free kick was given, and the German lad said, well, that's football. And sure enough, that's what I thought. I thought, well, you're right, that's football. Let's get on with the next half hour,
England 2, West Germany 2 in this very even still World Cup final of 1966. A long kick from Tilkowski. Headed away by Jack Charlton down to Nobby Stiles. Stiles with a long ball through to Ball, and Ball will run for all he's worth after this one. He turns it in. Can Hurst get a shot in? There's a chance for Geoff Hurst, and he's hit the bar. It must be a goal. I would have thought that went in, but he's not given it. I thought that hit the bar and went in, Maurice Eddleston.
I'm not certain. Yes, it's given. It's given. England are in the lead. The referee, Mr. Dienst, went across to the linesman. It certainly hit the underneath part of the bar, bounced down. It was a fine decision, but the linesman, who's in the best position to see, has said that the goal was in, it crossed the line. So Hurst has got his second goal for England, and with a few minutes to go to half-time in this extra period, England lead 3-2, and the hero of the hour for my money, the man that made the pass there, Alan Ball.
Yes, he had to have a say in it, didn't he, Maurice? But really, my feeling was that the Russian linesman on the far side was waving his flag as much as to say that it wasn't a goal. So we've had two remarkable decisions that have led to two very controversial goals here at Wembley.
Well, I was about the only one that didn't see it, because I hit the ball on the half-turn and fell down with my face completely away from the goal, and I didn't see where the ball had gone at all. But Roger Hunt, who was very near the 6-yard box at the time, said it was definitely in, and also Martin Peters, my clubmate. I kept looking at him and wondered what he was going to do. The referee went across to him and nobody knew what was going to happen. Then he raised his flag and sort of pointed to the middle, and then that's when I started to cheer.
1 minute left to play. England leading by 3-2. Come on, England. Hold on. It's a corner to Germany. Up goes Banks and punches away. Hunt back there, inside his own half, beats his man cleverly. Sends the ball up through the middle, but a bad one inside the centre circle. Here it comes back again. Huykes down it to the centre half. breasted down there by Bobby Moore. Moore parting with the ball up to Hunt. Hunt back to Bobby Moore. Moore now with the ball. Hunt's over there with him. 25, 23 now. 20 seconds. And it's Hurst and Bull shouting for it on the right here. And there's people on the pitch at the moment. It's shoot! It's a goal by Hurst! Goal by Hurst, number 4. And the England players going down on the turf, hugging each other on their hands and knees. And there it is, number 4 to England. And the band's waiting there on the touchline. The bandmaster turns, and in a moment or so, we expect to get the national anthem here at Wembley. The players still talking amongst themselves, lining up. The photographers being pushed away by the officials here at Wembley. And here goes the cup upfield, and the crowd are shouting, Ramsey, 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 the England manager. Listen to this. And Bobby Moore just going over to Alf Ramsey, giving him the cup and dragging him into the photographers, into the pictures.